unpopular opinion, the N64 controller is trash.
That thing was terrible.
That's a trash controller.
The fact that you could attach it to a pole in the center, make a spear out of it, or like one of those cool like psi weapons from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that's how bad a controller it was. You could you hand that to someone and they go, I don't know how to hold this correctly, and then they would do it and you'd go, no, grab the weird middle one, and you're like, okay, this is uncomfortable if you don't have tiny baby hands.
Yeah. Yeah,
Pish posh, I say, that was one of the best controllers ever made.
Fuck you.
Oh, no.
Hold on, you're gonna complain about me for Virtual Boy, but then when I bring up this, when you guys talk about the 64, all of a sudden, oh, life's too hard.
I would say the Nintendo 64 controller is worse than the Virtual Boy.
Fucking top tier.
Easily.
Top tier controller.
A top tier controller that's made for aliens.
Top tier nonetheless.
It's not made for human hands. Made for, like, I don't know. Obviously not humanoids.
I would
that
also
works
say,
out great because humans are shitty people, so it works out even better on my part.
As a human with slightly larger than normal human hands, my hands at least fit around a Virtual Boy controller. I'm holding a Virtual Boy controller, which raises a bunch of other questions. Like, I remember the point in time where my knuckles started to kind of hit the left part of a Nintendo 64 controller, because jamming my hand around that was like, okay.
Just try to find some way to fit your hands, just a place for any. How do you reach the buttons? How do you reach any of the? It just makes no sense. That controller was, for all the love the system got, and it had some truly fantastic games. The controller was garbage.
You had
controller's top tier.
Most people had tiny kid hands when they were playing on that thing. Like, that thing's great for tiny kid hands. Like, real adult hands, though, the number of controllers that get worse with time with your big adult hands, it's weirdly long. Like, the Nintendo, fine for tiny kid hands. As an adult, where you can get your fingers all the way around that murder rectangle, little bit painful.
Yeah, the round controller, if you can get that for your NES, the round controllers, they're definitely a little better.
Or just take a sander to the edges.
You know what? If you can't handle the N64 controller as an adult, you clearly aren't meant to function as an adult. You shouldn't file taxes. You should just get rid of everything and live as a hobo.
Wait. I get to not file taxes if I can't deal with the Nintendo 64 controller?
No, because you
I
can't
need proof of this, because I would love to not file taxes.
You cannot adult anymore if you can't handle a kid controller. That's it. You're done. Tap out. Just call it a day.
I would love to not file taxes based on that measure. What's your exemption? I don't feel comfortable holding a Nintendo 64 controller. Yep, that's a checkbox. It's right here.
See, here's what you do. You get audited, right? The IRS shows up. They've got all their agents. And the first thing they do is they have a guy come out. He's wearing square glasses. He's got a suitcase. He's like, well, let's see, before we continue all of this audit, we have to conduct a test. And he opens a suitcase. And in that suitcase is a single fucking yellow Pikachu controller from N64. He's like, sir, can you please put your hands on this controller?
Does it have the Rumble add-on in there to make it weirdly off-center weight-wise?
Yeah, it totally has that to fucking throw off the weight distribution.
Nice.
Of course it does. So you try to grasp it, and of course your hands can't handle it. So it starts to fall out of your hands, and the guy says, all right, we're done here. Boys, pack it up. And they all just get in their SUVs and drive off. And you're left there wondering what the fuck just happened. And that's... Hello, everyone out there. You're going to get a different breed of broadcasters. You know why? Because all these other podcasts out there are sleeping. They don't know what's up. You know who does, though? The Woke It Awesome cast. That's right. We woke. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another week. Go on.
We are in a new era of the podcast, the Woke cast.
We tried the food cast. That didn't work out. We've tried the Matrix podcast. That never was going to work out. Charlie would never let that happen. We dabbled in video games, but we realized, you know what? It's not going to work either. Instead, it's going to be woke.
This podcast is woke the same way a bear in December is.
Yeah, on the prowl, right? Grrr.
Quite the opposite. It's so not woke. There's a title for it that's the opposite of awake. It implies a long period of not awakenedness.
The Sleepy Awesome Cast?
The fucking passed out in a cave digesting 9 months of gluttony is more what we kind of seem to operate in.
Welcome to the Sleepy Awesome Cast. We talk about mattresses and do reviews on them now. That's
Fucking Sealy can suck my dick.
We also talk about really calorie-dense food.
That's
So
right.
you can store up for the winter, you know?
Yeah.
Winter's on its way.
All right, how far do you two want to take this? 'Cause I got some bear facts I can throw out right now.
Oh,
Let's run with this for a bit. Let's have some fun with this.
I subscribe to Bear Facts.
Well, so fun fact. So towards the end, before hibernation begins, all bears that hibernate swap to a high in fiber diet to essentially constipate themselves to keep their cages sanitary over the long hibernation periods. They don't shit in their sleep, essentially. So when spring comes, they basically like take a dump that's a wicker basket almost. Like,
well done.
Like, it's not quite woven, but it's a solid mass of plant fiber that's been dried, and it's been acting as essentially a cork in that bear's ass for the entire winter.
Mhm.
And they lose a shit ton of body weight, and I mean shit ton as in a ton of shit comes out of that bear.
Which explains why they're angry every other part of the year.
Yeah. Bear facts.
What kind of bear is best?
Kodiak.
Care Bears.
Well, there are two schools of thought. Okay. Does no one here? Oh, that's right. You don't watch The Office, do you, Charlie?
No, I have taste.
I'm done with this podcast about.
Let's hear about these two schools of bear. Let's hear about these bear schools, these rival bear schools.
It doesn't work if you haven't seen the damn show. Let's move on.
Wait, you're telling me to move on. This is a weird reversal of power I'm not used to. I now understand why you are the way you are.
This is how things are in the Woke and Awesome Cast.
It only took us bear facts to bring us here. The barest of facts.
Well, I just couldn't bear the truth anymore.
Yeah, there we go. Back to normal.
Yeah. But yes, we are the Wicked Awesome Cast, episode 130. Wow. 130. Nothing special about it. I just figured it's nice to mention it's 130.
We almost equal the number of Pokemon. Almost.
You mean first generation, you mean?
First generation.
I
There's too many now.
only recognize Pokemon up till the end of Gold and Silver.
How many was that?
251 or 2, I think.
How many are there now?
We looked this
One-
up. It was
1 million.
disgusting.
1 million.
That
I'm
sounds
just gonna
about right.
I'm just gonna go with 1 million.
That sounds
802.
Right.
Almost 1,000. So what would the Pokérap be now?
Long and boring.
Because think about how it was with 150.
I took a bunch of episodes to get through.
Mm-hmm. So how long would the current Pokérap be? How many minutes would it be now?
I don't know. I don't want to give this more thought than I have to.
Would it be a 30-minute long sort of, jazz rendition in a God of the Vita style jam?
I don't know.
Would we break off into different sections and movements like an orchestra piece? Yeah, the Pokérap. The 800 Pokemon Pokérap.
This fuck, I'd be out of breath by the end of it.
Well, there's the Nations song, the one on Animaniacs. Yeah, and that's what 300 and something.
Yeah.
And that was only in about 5 or 6 minutes. So if you say almost nothing about every Pokemon,
I feel there are more Pokemon now than there are nations. And
there's way more. There's like triple the amount of Pokemon as there are nations. Every nation can have 3 official Pokemon.
Wow.
So what are America's Pokemon then?
Trubbish,
Snorlax.
Trubbish, and Trubbish.
Snorlax. And
Snorlax.
I don't
want to
live in a country where Trubbish isn't our Pokemon.
Trubbish, Snorlax, and
Slowpoke.
anyone that looks like a gun.
yeah. Oh, there's the one that's cannons. Octo something.
That's
Artillery.
That's
Artillery.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
Or one that shoots fireworks for 4th of July.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Why do I know these things?
You
I could have been so much smarter than I am if I just didn't waste time on knowing this.
could have been the Dr. Oak of our time,
Yeah.
So I'm
where you drop truth
obviously
bombs.
Ash's dad then. Got it.
Yeah, so you drop truth bombs.
I'm laying mad
and-
pipe all over that town. Got it.
Jeez. Yeah, not only are you super Pokemon smart, but you're laying down the truth and pipe. So you're not Professor Oak, you're Professor Woke.
Yeah.
I will fly to Portland and drown you in a bathtub. I'll even note the Portland PD will show up and be like, "Oh, yeah, this was justified.
Yep, just
Public
wrap it
service
up, boys.
murder. Got it."
Public service murder sounds like a cool band name, though.
I'm sure
Oh,
that's
yeah.
actually a real band already.
Very possibly.
I would Google it, but I don't want that on my search history.
Oh no.
It's a Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm unsurprised.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, we're a podcast.
Yes, we are.
So yeah, 1:30. We do have some interesting news this week. A lot more to talk about. I made sure to get myself a couple Red Bulls this morning because guess who gets to have another Blizzard rant? And that is me,
We
your
got
boy.
an email about it.
Did you? Oh, this is gonna be good.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
We may have to break tradition, bring some emails in early into the podcast.
I am digging this.
People,
Oh, yeah.
people seem to be digging you being like, "What the fuck, Blizzard?"
Really?
This is what, like week 3 in a row we've gotten emails about it.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't know about it last week.
Did we talk about it last week?
No, you've been
Oh.
keeping emails from me.
I thought we talked about it last week. Maybe it's only 2 weeks then of the 3 that we've gotten them.
Oh.
We got nothing last week because of Thanksgiving, didn't we?
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should jump into what we got going on because we got a lot going on.
Yeah, why not?
Let's how does this usually work again? We do weeks. Right?
Yeah, we do weeks.
All right. Who wants to start it off?
I'll go first. Mine was pretty simple, and I got some stuff to say about the Switch.
All right. Oh, another Charlie Switch rant? Yes.
First off, I wanted to say I've committed myself to Anthem on the PC. I finally pulled the trigger. I will explain. For the dumbest reason, they put out a shit ton of Anthem news this week, and we'll talk about this more in the emails. I think we got an email about this, but they showed on the live stream for it one of the devs holding up a controller while playing the PC version. I'm like, fuck it, I'm in. Why not? So I will be playing that on PC. Hopefully my PC is set up by then so I can play it on something that's not my laptop, but my laptop can apparently run that game, so neat.
Okay.
Yeah. I have also learned I don't want to play Red Dead Redemption anymore. I just want to see how it ends.
You're just done with it now?
It's not done. It's more, I know how that game ends. I know kind of the gist of how that game ends. I maybe don't know the exact details of it, but there's no mystery to it, and I want to see the rest of the story, but, like, I can't play that game in less than a 3-hour sitting, and just, I'm like, I want to watch, I want a game, I don't care about the story, I want Anthem to come out, I want to go back to playing Destiny 2 or something, where it's like, I can play 3 hours and have fucking King of the Hill or some podcast playing, so I feel like I've been productive with my time. As opposed to Red Dead, where I'm like, okay, I did 2 story missions because they were on opposite fucking sides of the map. And don't get me wrong, I'm still enjoying Red Dead, but like, the idea occasionally of playing more Red Dead is weirdly exhausting for me. I'm like, oh, I'd have to ride that horse so much.
No fast travel?
There is, but it feels wrong to use it, and you can only use it, as best I can tell, from your camp, which I am never at. Like, I rarely ever wind up back at camp where I'm like, no, there's fast travel there, and by the time I got back to camp to fast travel, and, like, when there are loading times in this game, they're long enough that I'm pretty sure if I was to travel back to camp, use the fast travel, and then wind up where I'm supposed to go, I'm not sure I'd be saving that much time in the grand scheme of things. And I feel bad because I keep finding cool shit. Like, I found aliens, and, like, I killed some the hills have eyes people and stuff. I found a boat in a tree, and I'm like, this game is real cool. I just wish I could get something done in an hour or two, not 4. Yeah, it's weird. It's the dumbest complaint ever. I'm like, I want to play this game. I just wish it, like, was playable in 2-hour increments and not giant chunks of my time. And yes, I could focus more on doing, like, exactly what I need to, but that game doesn't super lend itself to doing that. Like, you go from point A to point B, and it drops so many distracting things in your way, you're like, oh, a penny.
That's part of the pull, I guess.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on.
It's really well done in that regard, but also I kind of want my time to be done with that game. Yeah.
Oh, just wait till the online part comes out.
I don't think that will affect me, actually.
Really?
Like, I hope to be done with this game enough by then that I'm going to be like, oh, online's out? Yeah, I'll check it out once and be like, oh, cool. Because I played online for Red Dead Redemption 1. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And nothing. I don't care about this. Like, as cool as I thought GTA Online was, I'm like, I never, like, got big into it after, like, the first month or two I was playing it. I kept trying to go back and have they made it better? No, it's still shitty. Okay.
Yep.
People are still the worst part of this experience. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I spent, because of Thanksgiving, I spent a lot of time on my Switch in the last couple of days. I played Warframe on my Switch, and I've been unkind to the Switch in past episodes of this podcast and videos and stuff. I have not been unkind enough, it turns out. Because Warframe on the Switch is really bad. Because the controller for that damn thing is bad. Yeah, it's that game requires too much reaction time for what that controller is. Like, turning to shoot at stuff in that thing is fucking painful. And
here we are, Nintendo once again going with a non-traditional controller, as they're wont to do for the last several consoles. They just they like to experiment, but it's like, experimentation not always the best. I think the Joy-Cons work really well for some things, but they are awful for a lot of sort of what you might consider hardcore gaming.
I have definitely reached a point where if Nintendo put out a carrying case for this thing that gave it the Switch controller kind of layout, I would seriously think about buying it. Like, and I didn't realize how much, like, my disdain for this thing's controller layouts is what keeps me from playing it. Like, I think I've reached a point where I'm going to be a weirdo that once I have all my stuff set up again, my Switch will just live in a dock for the rest of its life until I start going on planes a lot more again. And even then, I'll, like, fucking bring a Pro controller with me. I realized, like, it's like, oh, I played Super Mario Odyssey on this thing. I didn't thought that was bad. Oh, wait, I had a Pro controller for that. Yeah. I didn't use the real controls for this game at all through all that. That's the most I've ever played consistently on this platform and didn't hate it. And it was because I bought a fucking $60 peripheral, essentially, to fix their bad design choice.
Yeah. Which controller did you get? See, I've heard kind of mixed reviews of a lot of the classic controllers or whatever Pro controllers they've come out with.
They have a Pro controller. Nintendo has an official Pro controller they had for the game for the what's it called, the Wii U, and both are fine traditional gaming ass controllers at that point. I have not touched any of the weirder stuff for it because I have no interest in any of the weirder stuff for it. Like, the Joy-Cons are bad enough in my book, and I'm not breaking down the door to play a bunch of classic Nintendo games on that thing. It's like, oh, I can do that? Neat. Okay.
I'm personally a big fan of Hori's controllers, and they're the one they have for the Switch looks pretty good. So.
Yeah, what's it called? The Nintendo Pro controller for that is fine. It is as good, if not in the same realm as like a Xbox One controller. It feels okay in your hands. You're not straining to get to buttons. It fixes every issue I have with the Switch's control layout. And it's a big enough thing that I'm like, this should be in the packaging with this shit at this point. Like, I get that the whole kind of sell of the Joy-Cons is you can slide them off and they're the same kind of rotation-wise for whoever picks them up, but, like, I'm not kidding. If they sold Joy-Cons that gave you, like, mirrored button layouts or the layout they had for the Wii U, I'd fucking buy them at this point. I really would. It's that right Joy-Con when it's in kind of portable mode is, for some of my large hands, apparently, exceedingly painful and annoying to use. And it feels really weird to say.
They have tiny buttons.
Yeah, they do.
That's the thing. It's like really tiny buttons. That surprised me actually a lot. Like I picked one up. I was like, wow, these feel like baby controllers.
Yeah, if you sold a carrying case for the Switch that turned it into a Wii U, I would definitely buy it at this point, I think. Like, it's really weird to say, and as someone who's taken a Wii U on a plane due to nefarious battery backup means, I think I've enjoyed playing that thing more on planes than I've enjoyed playing my Switch and stuff. I had not touched my Switch in a bunch of time, and like absence makes the heart grow fonder, or in my case, like gives you time to like double down on how much you fucking hate holding something. And holy shit. Yeah, it's still a cool idea. I wish they'd fixed the Joy-Cons. And I get it. The Joy-Cons were an intentional choice that I have to be like, okay, I respect this choice, but I do not like this choice at all.
Give us buttons we can press. Buttons that aren't so tiny they hurt my fingers
I
when
would
I
just
push
take
them
joysticks that aren't like the hand flesh part of my thumb, where it's like, no, I have to like shift my entire hand down to use this Joy-Con. Great.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, yeah, it's in line with some of the other. Not every controller has the analog sticks on the same line. Some of them have them, like.
Oh no, and that's fine, so long as my fingers can naturally, like, symmetrically rest on a controller and move accordingly. Like, yeah, like, that's not really possible for me on the Wii, on the Switch, on the Wii U. Like, and for a game like Warframe, where you play that game with sensitivity turned all the fucking way up because you are just whipping around that camera, it's a big problem for that game. Like, and I played some Warframe, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this was not great. Let's go play some of the other games I have on here to see if I'm being a big baby about this. And I realized a bunch of the games I've been positive on for that thing on the go don't require camera controls, so it doesn't matter. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, like Stardew Valley on this thing, great. But then I played Bayonetta 2, and I'm like, right, this is problematic. I love this game normally. Yeah, I think of the three of us, I'm the only one that owns the Switch still, and like I've never not kind of regretted buying one, but I'm never like reminded of how much I've disdained for it until I pick it up and try playing it for extended periods of time where I'm like, right, I do not like this thing. And that was me on Thanksgiving where I was waiting for stuff to cook, and it was like, okay, let's play some Warframe. Let's not do this. Let's not do this at all. And for those curious, I did not import my account from the PC version. It's still there, so I got played. Had that. Warframe looks fine. It looks like Warframe on a console, a little less beautiful than PS4 Xbox One, but it's Warframe on the go, which is cool, except Warframe on the go requires an internet connection, so it's more Warframe on the go to the bathroom, I guess? I don't know.
Well, any place that has, like, good Wi-Fi and not, like, coffee shop Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but my point's more being, like, I can't pop this thing out and get on a bus and play Warframe on the go, which I would dig.
Not on most buses, no. Most buses do not have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately.
I'm not commuting in the New York Underground railway system, the subway, I forgot the word subway, playing Warframe, which is like, oh, it's a grindy game that has, like, 10-minute missions. That sounds like a great use of your time in a grindy game, but no. Like, it's... Yeah, I know I thought the fact that the Vita had like built-in cell phone support, I think, was an odd choice. I think for the first time I'm looking at a gadget going, I kind of wish I could put a like Verizon SIM card in this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's mostly my week at Thanksgiving. I had a smoked turkey. It was awesome. We had Thanksgiving with Jen, my girlfriend's family, so
Nice.
yeah, it was small but fun. I did not laser cut the SWS logo into it as much as Jeff wanted me to. I was not going to mess with my turkey. That was meant to feed 20 people, and it very well might. Like, we're what, like almost like 4 days out from Thanksgiving. I still have half that fucker lying around.
Yeah, no, that's Thanksgiving turkey. It'll
Yeah.
just keep having more and more.
Have either of you cooked a turkey before?
Yes.
Nope.
Explaining to people that have never cooked a turkey before, like the hassle that is cooking a turkey, was a weird part of Thanksgiving.
It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't that hard. I mean, mainly it's just like, I defrosted it for like a day and a half or something in the fridge.
How big a turkey?
It's pretty big.
Fair enough, because like,
And
most
then-
turkeys take like 4 or 5 days to actually defrost.
I don't remember how many days it was. I
Yeah.
just remember it took a very long time, and then I brought it to, well, alright, so I got it actually as a bonus, as a Christmas bonus. That was my bonus. It was a turkey. So I was like, okay. And so I took it to my parents' place and cooked it for my family. I mean, like my siblings and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody was in for the holidays, and so I cooked it up for them. I injected it with a bunch of homemade barbecue sauce, and it turned out pretty well. But yeah, that was that. But yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal to cook. I followed directions. I
Yours
just
may
looked
not
up-
have ever been technically frozen then, which is the big thing. Like it's
No, it was frozen.
Huh.
It was dead frozen.
Huh.
Let me tell you, it was absolutely dead frozen.
Yeah, we found ourselves in a situation where there wasn't enough time to, in theory, defrost a turkey of that size
Oh,
prior to it getting
okay.
cooked. And it's like, well, thank God we did this approach.
Yeah,
Smoked turkey.
yeah. Okay, yeah, if it's not completely defrosted, yeah, I didn't even think you could cook the turkey.
Can't. That's why we bought a smoked turkey or partially cooked turkey. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Like 6 fucking hours of an oven running.
Yep.
That's about on my end. Who wants to go next?
I can go ahead. So, this is my first Thanksgiving away from my family.
But yeah, this is your first kind of full Thanksgiving away from home.
Yeah. So, it's weird because have I told you what we do for Thanksgiving in my family? Like, what we
Nah,
normally do?
you've never mentioned this one before.
So my family does a big get together with all the aunts and uncles that are nearby that can make it, and we have Thanksgiving breakfast and Thanksgiving dinner. So for Thanksgiving breakfast, we have what is it? Eggs Benedict, Monte Cristo sandwiches, tamales, and what else was it? There's one more thing I can't remember. Oh, French toast. Literally just tons of all of that. Eggs, the whole 9 yards. Just a huge breakfast. So you go into a food coma early in the morning. And you have time to sleep it off for dinner. So last year, we had turkey, prime rib, we had potatoes, veggies, the whole 9 yards, stuffing, everything. Pie. It's a big, like, get together. And the thing is, like, my family, they're all chefs. That's their profession, pretty much.
Oh, crazy.
So my dad's a chef. My uncle owns his own restaurant in LA. It's a little shop that he got and he's been taking care of for a while, but he has
Sure.
a chef background. My other uncle is a restaurant manager for a big hotel chain. So it's a lot of kind of like kitchen/restaurant food prep experience.
Yeah.
So when shit goes down. And it's just always so good. Like, it's just, So to go from that to eating a shittily cooked T-bone steak at a
Ooh.
local greasy food diner is shitty. To say the least.
Does sound depressing.
Yeah, it's one of the few times of the year I was always like, fuck yeah, this is going to be really good. Like, I always look forward to it.
Yeah, my experience with that first major holiday from home, it's a weird one. You're like, oh, right. Someone else used to do this shit. Got it.
Yeah. So, next year we'll probably try to cook something up. I'm not sure yet how that's going to work out, because I don't really cook.
You'd better learn, motherfucker.
I need to learn, yeah. So, what else? So there's that, which has always been kind of, like, interesting. But we got through it, so that was Thanksgiving. My girlfriend's car died, which sucks. That actually happened a few weeks ago, but we've been kind of working around that, so we're in the market for looking for a shitty car or a cheap car for her to get around again. Because, yeah, it sucks. I've been recently frustrated with my PC for some reason, and I feel it's time to just reformat it and start fresh with Windows, a nice installation of Windows 10 again. I don't know why, but I just feel that's the thing to do right now. So I might do that this week. But
I looked at graphics cards this weekend, or like literally yesterday. I think for an upgrade to either the 10 or the 2.
Well, I still have a 780 GTX, so I've been scoping out some of these 580s that are going on sale.
That's
AMD.
Yeah, AMD.
Yeah, they're mid-range, but it's fine.
Allegedly, they have something coming out in the next year or so that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, but you're always waiting at that point.
Yes, I keep waiting for some of the, like, apparently we're in a weird spot where they make 1070s that are better than most of the 1080s and cost $100 less, so I've actually been looking at 1070s being like, it's basically, if you don't do VR, don't get a 1080.
Yeah, you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
If you're not doing anything high level like that, you don't need that. That's why I'm looking at the 580s. And even the 590, which is a relatively new one.
Yeah, I have a 980 in my machine, and I guess that's like we're starting to reach a point where that's starting to be at the low end of what's kind of acceptable, and I'm like, maybe it's time.
Yeah, I have a 780 in my machine, and it's been pretty powerful. But I do plan on doing some VR development at some point, so I do need a better video card.
Maybe you'll be the one of us that gets the 2080, because that seems to be a nightmare world.
Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at when it comes to like the gaming card stuff. I know it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up, so not to
hijack it, but has anyone else noticed that a bunch of like Cyber Monday deals have been showing up days before Cyber Monday?
Oh yeah, that's every time. Black
Friday
started weeks ago.
Fucking sick of this like pretentious like, oh, it's because of Black Friday. No, it's because fucking Christmas is coming and we're doing sales. Just like fucking call it a holiday sale at this point. Let's drop any pretense we have of it being linked to a day. Like Amazon's like, oh, Cyber Monday. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Amazon. It's Tuesday before Thanksgiving still.
I mean, the thing is, every holiday is starting earlier every year. Eventually, it's just going to be like, there's not going to be actually a beginning or an end to the holidays. It's just going to be all year round. This is going to be always Christmas. It's either Christmas or it's time to shop for Christmas. There's no other days.
I guess I have less of a problem with that than this like, oh, Black Friday's coming 4 fucking weeks before Black Friday. It's like, oh, we're doing Black Friday early this year. No, you're starting a sale. Black Friday is a very specific point in time that does not mean what you think it does as a consumer.
Yeah, no, pretty much. That's what it's become at this point, and I kind of just realized that's what it is. So I've been scoping this out early now. Thank you, Reddit. Build a PC sales.
Yeah.
But I have been scoping out some stuff. So there's a list of things I'm thinking about getting. And we'll see. One of them is I did end up actually buying the expansion for Stormblood, Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of playing around with that right now, and it's interesting. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I think I'm kind of at this MMO crossroads right now.
I definitely re-downloaded that game over the weekend. I've not resubscribed to it, but it's definitely on my laptop again.
Yeah, so I may dabble in that some more. I definitely feel like I want to hit max level at least.
Really?
On that one. Yeah, just to kind of check out some of the end game. I've been scoping some of the stuff out, and it's actually not bad. And the nice thing is you have one character you can just change your job on. And so you don't have to worry about re-leveling a whole new character. It's literally one character, and you can become everything. So
You gotta like that character, though.
yeah. But it's also kind of interesting, too, because, like, one of the things I was reading about is they treat, like, professions, like the crafting stuff, like an actual class, like a rogue or a hunter. Like, it's thorough. Like, you gotta get gear, so you can get bonuses to crafting certain things. Like, it's some next level shit. So I can appreciate that. So I'm gonna give that a go. I'll be playing around with that. So I'll probably be doing some live streams of, like, my first impressions and first time experience playing through Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. So
yeah,
I'm gonna give that a go. But that was already purchased. List of things that I'm considering to purchase is Destiny Forsaken. So I may get the Forsaken expansion. I know it's on sale for a few more days, but I may get that just to kind of give that a go.
Yeah. I want to get back to playing Destiny, but also I have a hard time getting back to playing Destiny.
Well, I know Blizzard's not too happy, or at least Activision's not too happy on how it's done overall.
Like, we'll talk about this some later, but, like, Anthem put out some stuff that have me going, like, Anthem actually looks promising. Okay.
It's just EA, man. That's my only fear. Like,
it's Activision, man.
Yeah. Anthem is EA.
Yeah.
No, Anthem's EA.
Yes, but Destiny is Activision. I
know. Well, Activision recently has been. We'll talk about that.
Activision has always been. It just makes games that do stupid well, like EA does. EA just has a history of doing shitty stuff, and they actually develop stuff in-house where Activision has lots of studios they publish for. So it's not technically Activision's fault when people get mad at stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like Activision is becoming like an old god and slowly leaking into Blizzard.
It always has been!
Yeah.
But now more than ever, which we'll talk about. We'll get into it quite a bit, actually.
Sure.
All right. Bit. So we'll hold on that one for now. But let's see what else to leave at. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that one. I'm thinking about getting a new microphone and mix. They're actually switching over to like a USB mixer board. Maybe do that. Something small to start that can fit on my desk. Nothing too crazy.
That.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. So, and that's pretty much it for me. I've been playing, like I said, I've been doing more, splitting my time between WoW and Final Fantasy 14.
Sure.
And actually, a little bit. I played some more Guacamelee because I forgot how much I liked that game. So I went back and played a little bit of it. It was fun.
That is
First
a great
one
game.
Or the second one?
First one. I haven't done the second one yet.
I don't.
I want to finish the first one before I even dabble in the second one. So. But I kind of dig that one too, just because like since it's 2-player, it's one of the games that Mandy and I can play together. So,
cool. Yeah. I played it 2-player with somebody, and that was definitely a great idea. It was super fun to play 2-player.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So, and I think even like I was playing it on PS4, and apparently even on PS4 it's like 4-player now.
Yeah,
the new Turbo Crazy Championship Edition.
Yeah,
whatever is 4-player.
Yes, indeed.
Cool.
Yes, indeed. I've not played it 4-player, but yeah, that sounds like it'd be super fun.
Yeah, doing 4-player mode on that one sounds fucking blast.
Sounds like it'd make it way too easy though, because even with 2 players, it ended up being fairly easy, and definitely easier than if we were playing with 1 player. I'll say that.
But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Nothing too exciting. So, yeah.
Well, I guess that comes around to me then.
Yep, your turn.
All right. Sir? So, gaming-wise, I'm still playing through Darkest Dungeon. I'm actually beginning to build up money, actually, because I'm learning that sometimes you just gotta give up on some of your adventurers.
Yep.
You just gotta let them go. Like, instead of spending money to try to fix them, you just gotta say, yeah, you're too crazy now, I just can't keep you around.
You gotta take that dog out in the yard, shoot him.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. When it's at a certain point, especially, alright, so one of the worst things they can get, well, that's really annoying anyways, is kleptomania. Once they get that, anytime you come across an item, they have a big chance of stealing it, and you just don't get that item. You don't get any of that stuff. They just steal it and keep
Yeah.
it for themselves, and it's just like it's gone. It didn't exist, and so that gets annoying really fast. And so you don't want like a kleptomaniac in your party, because I mean, that's the thing. If you don't make it out of each dungeon with at least some sort of profit, you're just hemorrhaging money. But that's the interesting thing is, it's become a profit mill. Because in order to continue the game, you have to have a net gain, or else you're not going to be able to finish out. That's what happened to me the first time. First time I tried playing, I ran out of money. And it's just like, well, I guess I can't actually do anything anymore. I mean, you can still get more people, but after a certain point, it's just like, if you have no money, they aren't going to survive any expeditions, because you can't give them any stuff, like food or torches. So, yeah, but on my current game, it's actually rolling pretty well. It's actually going pretty well for me, so I'm not that far in it, but it's a great game. I'm enjoying it a lot.
It is not a game of rapid progress either.
No, it is a gradual game. It is, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. It is, and I like the challenge of it. And I'm still playing on easy mode, essentially, and it's still pretty challenging on what's ostensibly the easiest mode, which is Radiant mode. There's three. It starts off, you can pick from 3 difficulties. And so I've just been playing on easy, just so I can get the feel for it. And even that, it's not that easy. I can see where it can easily be much more difficult than what I'm playing right now. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. So I've been playing mostly that. I haven't really been buying a lot of or installing a lot of new games. Like, all right, I went ahead and got my free version of Destiny 2 because that was available.
Fine choice.
It's free, but I haven't played it yet because I am saving my money I'm saving. I've been saving money so I can buy a nice new hard drive that it will fit on. So I've mentioned this before. I'm pretty sure that I have a solid state hard drive, and so that's what I want for Cyber Monday. I want a good, at least a terabyte size main hard drive, so that I can install all the games that I own, or at least most of them that I want to play. Because there's still several that are kind of large that I just haven't installed because I literally can't fit it on my hard drive.
I know the Steam sale's happening right now. Has anyone actually picked anything up for that?
That's where I got Stormblood.
Gotcha.
Nope, have not. I'm thinking about it, but haven't really picked up anything on it yet. I'm looking at some of the games, though, definitely.
Yeah. I got one game this year from it.
Oh, really?
I had an awkward moment where I realized I own everything on Steam I think I want to own currently.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. Even though I do try to look through like some of the games that are basically in preview mode or whatever, early access.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's certain games that I'm definitely interested in. So, I mean, I keep a pretty big wish list on Steam, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely games on there that I've been waiting to come on sale that are finally more affordable. Like, alright, so even though it's not that much cheaper now than it was, it's a little bit cheaper. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle is now cheaper than it was. At least it's a little bit off. Disgaea 5 has a good bit off of it now, and I am a big fan of the Disgaea series in general. So that's tempting. That's really tempting. Rez is like half price right now, so I'm probably going to pick that up, to be honest. Rez is literally one of my favorite games.
Always buy Rez when you have the chance.
Monster Hunter is on sale.
Yeah, that's one you should definitely get.
It's a third off, which is quite a bit considering it's a fairly new game. It's 34% off, and I'm like, how much time am I actually going to put in this game? But luckily, it's you buy it once and you don't have to keep buying it. well, I mean, it doesn't take a membership or
Yeah,
whatever.
there will be DLC, I assume, eventually for it that costs money. I guess there technically has been, but it's been cosmetic stuff.
Bayonetta's on sale, and yeah, dude, I've never played it. I never played it when it came out because I don't have consoles, and it seems like the version of it for the PC
It's good.
It's fine. It's fine. Like they didn't mess up the port, so it's worth playing. There's another game I want to play called Battle Chef Brigade. It's it's amazing, and it's like half off right now. So I mean,
that game's pretty good.
Yeah, that game just looks so fun. So I'm definitely super interested in that. Endless Legend, because I like 4X games, and this one's like way off right now, and I've just heard nothing but good things about it. So yeah, there's definitely a certain amount of games that I'm definitely thinking about. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when these sales come around, it's hard to not buy some of these really good games, or at least a game. I mean, I'm thinking about No Man's Sky because it's like half off right now, and with all the newer content, actually, it seems like a game now, the game that everybody wanted it to be. So.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but it's definitely more of a game than it was at launch. I think, based on my experiences, both kind of the relaunch of it and what that game was at base, like it's $20 is the maximum you should pay for that game, if that. Like that game is more complete now. I don't think it's a good game now though either. It's like, okay, this is done. I still don't like it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I guess instead of playing games, I've been thinking about which games I want to buy and play. So I mean that's more
yes, the game of fiscal responsibility.
Yes. What games? Because that's the thing. If I want to buy more hardware, like especially if I want to buy a new video card, like I have to make sure that I don't buy 20 games. That would basically be the cost of that.
I could buy all these games I don't actually need, or a graphics card. What if I did both?
Yeah. It's like, and also like Nier Automata. I mean, it's there again, and just so many games that I've been thinking about buying and playing, but I hardly play the games I own now.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Like, it's to the point that I'm like, what? Why do I keep buying these games? It's just like by this point, it's just like it's a compulsive thing.
I take some pride in I do not own a single game currently I have not spent at least an hour playing. Sometimes it's just that hour, but yeah.
I have an embarrassing amount of games that I have no hours in. If you look at my collection, like see the hours, it's like, oh yeah, most of them. Then there's quite a few on the end there that's just like, he hasn't even installed this ever.
Have you touched that weird point where now there are games showing up in your Steam list that you didn't buy, but because they're like giving them away, you're like, oh, you gave away a 100-hour game. Fuck you.
Yeah, oh yeah. I got Serious Sam Fusion 2017 beta. It's just in my list now. I just have it. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely like games that are just kind of appearing, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I have this game as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, especially when they start putting out stuff like that, which is basically they're beta versions of stuff they can optionally install and download.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I did this week. I mean, not a whole lot going on really. Like more Thanksgiving. I didn't do anything for Thanksgiving. Where I work, there was a free Thanksgiving buffet, and that was kind of nice. Had some really nice foods because where I work, also includes a culinary degree, and so we have
someone there knows what they're doing.
Yeah, so we have culinary chefs making this stuff. So it was really good stuff. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I didn't do anything actually for Thanksgiving. It's just it's just another day where I don't have to go to work because I have that day off. But
yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That means it's news time.
I believe
Yeah.
it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I half expect you to do something weird with it this week, given your other ongoing things.
No, this part is sacred.
Fair enough. Where to begin this week? It's a weird week.
Yep.
For a week that kind of only half happened in the U.S., where a lot of the gaming drama seems to happen, we have a lot of stuff. Just speaking of the U.S., TwitchCon is coming to Europe.
Yeah.
You get to deal with that nightmare now. Congratulations.
It's all
Yay.
yours. All yours. You can yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I watch Twitch and I stream myself, but some of the streams that are super popular, I just don't understand. I do and I don't. I'll say that. I do and then I don't. Understand why they're popular.
Hmm.
It's kind of impossible to predict anyways.
Yes,
but
I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to inform that from April 13th to April 14th, so 2 days, TwitchCon Europe will happen at City Cube in Berlin. I don't know what that means or if that's a good convention space or not. I can just give the warning that I don't think a single TwitchCon in the U.S. has happened without some weird-ass drama happening.
Yeah. Oh, and, since it's in Europe, but it also will consist of humans,
Yeah.
I imagine there's going to be drama there too.
Yeah, like US TwitchCon, it will have streamer meet and greets and some panels and stuff, but I'm more interested in when we get European VidCon, because that could be a beautiful nightmare.
Oh, yeah, because we already have people that head here to VidCon from other countries as it is, to a certain extent. But yeah, congratulations, Europe. You can now have a convention of garbage.
Yeah. And for the record, this does not mean the US-based TwitchCon is not happening. That will also happen next year, so yeah. The idea of TwitchCon still baffles my mind some.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It makes sense to me.
Oh, it makes sense to me. It's more just I can't quite get my brain to wrap my head around it. Like, it's like, okay, so you're going to go watch a bunch of people that you watch from home in person not doing the thing they do that you watch. Okay.
Yeah. Then again, I mean, how many conventions consist of here's people not playing the parts of famous fictional characters you
no,
like.
and to be fair, I don't get those ones either. Like, when I was going to anime conventions, I was going to kind of anything that wasn't that. Like, on this podcast, we've talked about how, like, me and Jeff's favorite stuff back then was, like, bad anime bad that was more about just ripping on anime than it was about, like, oh, here's the voice actor for so-and-so. It was that's cool. I'm going to go be a nerd. I'm going to go be a nerd in a room with a bunch of other nerds that are like, yo, this anime's terrible. Let's watch it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of panels at those
Yeah.
anyways. So I mean, but yeah. So congratulations, Europe.
Yep, you get your own TwitchCon. You're a real media area to care about.
Just wait till you get your own VidCon and you have Jake Paul show up there too. Or Logan Paul, was it? No, Logan Paul.
They're both
They're both
terrible.
assholes.
They're both terrible people.
Wait till the Pauls show up. You'll guys have a great time, Europe.
Yeah.
The Pauls show up or do they descend like plague?
Descend. I would say descend. And actually, unrelated, but somewhat related. I know we have a few listeners out there in Europe, so if you guys know about that convention space that got mentioned for Twitch Europe, let us know. I'm curious to see what your opinions are.
What was the name of that place? What was the name
City
of the
Cube in Berlin. So I'm assuming that's Germany,
City.
right? I'm assuming, like,
yeah. Berlin is Germany. City Cube.
Don't know.
Well, seeing as how Twitch is made of money because it's funded by Amazon, I'm sure that they would have picked out a good site. But I am curious about it. It sounds interesting. Just the name of the site.
Yeah, who knows? I've never been to TwitchCon. I've never felt the strong, burning desire to attend a TwitchCon. That being said, for some reason we got invited to one. I would totally go, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you do head down to Berlin, make sure you let us know how it was riding on the metro.
Okay. Next up.
Riding on the metro.
No.
No.
Next up, that new Pokemon game, Pokemon Let's Go, sure as fuck sold a lot of Switches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
holy crap.
Apparently that
Yeah,
thing is responsible for roughly a sales record of 30 million units worldwide, just kind of based around the sale of that game,
Yeah.
which matches the first week's sales of that game, of that console.
Yeah, it literally, like, doubled the amount of Switches
So
sold.
sorry, you're right.
That's
the first week's
crazy.
sales of the game selling consoles to play the game matched the lifetime sales of that console.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, I mean, that just goes to show you, Pokemon basically is a money printer.
Yeah.
It just mints money. It's just that franchise will sell anything. You slap that on pretty much anything, it's gonna sell at this point.
And I think this is so... They sold a lot of things that have Pokemon in them, big surprise. I think what's more telling in this one is previously the stuff for Switch that was the must-buy was either Super Mario Odyssey or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, both which had some weird reactions from the fan community based around those two franchises. I do not think the success of Pokemon on that console is actually a good thing.
So
Really?
all right, so
It's not a
now
bad
you gotta-
thing. It's not a good thing, though, either. Like, it's one of those ones where you have two big Nintendo franchises that I'm not going to say didn't do well. They sold well. But, hey, Let's Go Pokemon is basically Pokemon Red and Blue. I guess it's technically Pokemon Yellow repackaged. And it's a totally new game. I'm not going to undersell that, but it is in so many bizarre ways a remake of an existing game with a lot of kind of cool stuff added. And again, I'm not knocking the game. It's got some stuff I think all Pokemon games should have at this point in time. But also, it's not as new as we keep acting like it is, and it links up with fucking Pokemon Go.
Yeah, well, but that's the other thing. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you link your best-selling games and
That's not
brands
Nintendo
together.
property.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
Niantic,
no, that's
technically.
yeah. Well, it's Niantic, but Niantic gives a ton of money to Pokemon
Not
and
as
Nintendo
much
to
as
use
you
that.
think.
Really, for that licensing?
No, but
Because I would
most
think
of that
that
money
the
goes to Niantic.
Really, because I would have thought that the Pokemon licensing is probably a pretty big cut.
It's not a small cut, but it's not as big. It's a licensing fee. It's not royalties.
Yeah. I would have thought it was royalties as well.
No, that we talked about this a while back when that game first came out. Like, the popularity of that game caused a big jump in Nintendo stock, and Nintendo had to get out there and say, actually, no, we do not make that much money off Pokemon Go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But they get the money off of Pokemon Let's Go, though.
Yep, and this one's weird, because it's definitely not the Pokemon game I want on the Switch. I want a full, realer Pokemon game than this, I guess. Like, you don't battle other Pokemon to capture them. You do the Pokemon Go thing, which I think
That's
is
a little
lame.
lame.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, it does make... I think the Pokemon would actually be better if it was a combination of both approaches to capturing monsters, because it's practically like there's an assumption that every single monster you're going to run into, they're all going to fight you. Maybe most of them are actually just not fighting Pokemon, and you can just kind of throw a ball at them and you'll catch them. That actually makes a little more sense, because it's not like we walk outside and every single animal attacks you immediately.
Maybe not
It's
where
like,
you live. In my neck, I'm constantly fighting squirrels. Fucking
Right,
deathed
fair
out
enough.
squirrels.
Fair enough.
Nah, it's proven to be very successful. My fear is that Nintendo kind of looks at this and goes, hey, this did real fucking well. Let's hitch ourselves to this style of game for the foreseeable future. And like, while I don't like Breath of the Wild that much, I do appreciate that they made a very different departure for a Zelda game. Like, I give
Yeah,
them points for that.
an open world, a really open world style Zelda game, like massively open world style.
Yeah, and like it's the Switch ain't doing bad. I just also like it's in a weird spot where it's not like I'm not buying a lot of games for it. I know some people are, but it's very hard for me to justify a purchase that's not a Nintendo exclusive for that thing, unless it's a game I expect to play on the go. And like Warframe, I got because it was free and a novelty at that point. I was kind of curious, but yeah, I've played more Fortnite on that thing than I think I played anything else except Mario Odyssey. That's not very much. Moving on from that to something a little bit weirder, I guess. The UK Gaming Commission has come out and clarified that they've never actually said there's a link between loot boxes and exposure to gambling.
Well, I mean, all right, so that's good. If they didn't actually have enough studies to make that proper causal link, then it's best that they clarify.
Yeah, so, and this is kind of only news because you have parts of Europe, I think it's Belgium has been the kind of biggest driver on this force, where they've been banning games for kind of lack of adherence to the loot box rules they're now enforcing, and I guess the media, probably us included, have been running with this idea that, like, yes, the UK Gambling Commission did at one point say, hey, we're going to investigate whether or not we think loot boxes are exposure to gambling, and I think kind of all our assumptions could be played with loot boxes is they're totally fucking gambling. But I guess
they are.
Yeah, the findings they found are, yes, they are kind of gambling adjacent, but the numbers they basically threw out is that 15% of children aged between 11 and 16 are wear skins or have like stuff like skin betting for video games and stuff, but only 3% of that are actually actively involved in it, which puts it in the weird category of like, I know I played blackjack and poker in elementary school growing up.
Yeah. And that's that number.
Is that exposure to gambling?
Yeah. And yes, it is. I mean,
yeah.
I'd say it is. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you can't... Alright, so gambling shouldn't immediately be this bugbear that's just like, okay, anything gambling related is immediately bad.
Yeah.
It's context, and like a lot of things, we have to talk about these things in context. And this is the context of not just gambling, but gambling when it's obviously targeted at children. Just like we've discussed this before, like last week. And that when they're actually properly, obviously targeting kids with the ads and the way that they make these things seem as if they're just a part of the game rather than an ad or an extra buy-on, that's dishonest.
Yeah.
That is definitely dishonest. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is not that there's this moral panic on gambling so much as there is a moral panic about selling gambling to kids and disguising it in very unscrupulous ways.
Yeah. I am genuinely curious where the conversation on this is going to go, because this is the first kind of major thing to land on the side of what I wasn't expecting, and maybe to a certain extent you should expect kind of political outfits to fall wherever the fuck they choose to, and could I totally believe there's some loot box lobbyist out there being like, yo, we need this shit and here's some money to say it's fine? Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, it's surprising, because I think if you asked most gamers, are loot boxes gambling, I think most of us would say, yeah, they basically are. But I guess also at this point, it's also raising the question of, like, is this really kind of, quote, exposure to gambling? And I don't know at that point. I don't know what the definition of gambling is at that point, I guess.
I mean, and that's what they're saying here, that they say that it is gambling, that they basically say that, yes, loot boxes are gambling, but they aren't necessarily a gateway to, I guess, what you might consider harder gambling.
Yeah, and the kind of idea of, like, is our loot boxes skin gambling? It's like, okay, yeah, that is a distinction. You are absolutely right. I had not thought of to make up my mind. Yeah.
I mean, they're the gambling that's more similar to slot machines rather than, something like poker.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's easy to slot machine when you just pull a lever and like, oh, maybe it'll work this time.
Yeah.
It's easy. There's less mechanics involved.
I mean, and there have been real life loot boxes for a while. I mean, if you've, and I've just bought just recently even stuff from like these, the hidden toy boxes where you don't know which one you're going to get. I buy those not regularly, but I have a good number of them where they were blind box type of stuff. Literally, that's exactly what a loot box is. They cost a certain amount of money, and you don't know what you're going to get. There's a certain chance of getting certain things, and that's pretty much it. But it's different when it's, like I said, a part of a game and it's sort of hidden to look like as if it's a required part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is obviously not a divisive end to this conversation. It's kind of it's interesting evolution, and I guess for me at least, an unexpected official stance on it, I guess, if that makes any sense. 'Cause I'm not sure, like, it's, to a certain extent, take a step back. We're fucking talking about whether or not loot boxes are gambling in a world with much bigger problems. To a certain extent, it's what does this fucking matter in the grand spectrum of things? And when you take a step back, it doesn't. But also it does.
You can care about multiple things at the same time.
Yes.
That's the thing. I never go with that argument of there's more important things, so let's not care about this thing.
Oh, yeah, no, me neither.
We can care about lots of things all at the same time. It's not going to put you out that much.
Yeah.
So yes. So the UK Gambling Commission can think about gambling. That's literally what they're supposed to do.
If only their name implied what they were supposed to do with their free time.
Yeah.
Wait,
so yeah.
What?
So like
and
the
here
right
I thought
people,
they were solving world hunger.
Yeah. So we have the right people dealing with these. I mean, in every case, it seems like it doesn't seem like, and this is what actually is positive to me. I don't see this has not been treated in the same level of a moral panic like the Jack Thompson types were. You know what I'm talking about, Tipper Gore.
Yeah.
Really, really scaremongering about this stuff. I don't see the level of scaremongering about loot boxes as I have about other video game related stuff. And that's actually, I think, a positive thing. We don't see them running around saying, loot boxes are destroying everything, they're so terrible. No, it looks like they're actually dealing with them in a very even-handed and nuanced fashion that is differing from country to country. And to me, personally, that's very heartening. That means, like, we can deal with issues in video games in an adult manner, in a meaningful adult manner, that doesn't just consist of scaremongering or trolling or flame wars.
Yeah.
I mean, this is very nuanced thinking. I mean, here is like a great this article you've brought up is a perfect example of that type of nuance. That they are saying that we aren't saying that it's a gateway, but we are still labeling it as a type of gambling.
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
And to get away from that scaremongering that would happen, that was assumed.
No, you raise a good point. Like the fact that we're handling it as calmly and not outragey and not like fucking burning stuff in the streets like we have in the past with gaming stuff, I think is like that's the best takeaway from this in some ways.
Yes. And that's what I've seen about all this stuff so far with loot boxes. None of it has been panicky. Yeah. All of it has been thoughtful, like actually thought. Every country I've seen have a discussion about it has done it in a very thoughtful manner, not in a we're going to bring in all of our loudest pundits to yell about this way.
But using this as a transition point, we're not going to slide over to another story that we abso-fucking-lutely should be out in the streets rioting and burning shit over. And it is that Spyro doesn't have subtitles in it!
Yeah, well, that's it.
The Spyro remake, re-release, whatever the hell you want to call it, does not have subtitles in it. And that's
I read that
bad.
Too. That is really bad.
And this is where it gets kind of funny, like in the kind of compared to what we were just talking about, which has like a nice nuanceness to it. The explanation from Activision as to why it doesn't is the most kind of comically corrupt, mustache-twirling answer possible.
It is.
Initially it was, there's no industry standard to it, which people called fucking bullshit on.
No.
And then they backtracked it to, well, the original Spyros didn't have subtitles, and we're trying to keep it true to the original Spyros.
Yeah, I mean,
which I just
Come on.
fucking love.
Come on. That is such a ridiculous excuse. They just come on, just admit it. You churned it out as quickly as you could for money. You did it as quickly as you could for money.
Oh yeah.
And in case anybody's missing exactly why we're mainly upset about it, I mean, this is this thing about people with, for example, hearing issues that want to play a game. They're just gonna entirely miss what's going on in those cinematics. Like, and those cinematics, Spyro, are pretty important to the actual story of the game, so you just won't understand what's going on.
And to make it even funnier, I guess there were subtitles in the original Spyro 2 and 3 that are part of that just aren't in the game.
Yeah, there are. Absolutely there are. And they just didn't put them into this re-release.
So we have to look at it like this. There's a better way to approach this. Activision didn't put captions in. They just proved they hate the deaf community and don't want them to play the games. So if you are deaf, or sorry, not deaf, but whatever, if you're deaf and you can't hear what's going on, just don't buy an Activision game. They just made it that much easier for you to know not to give them their business.
This is the weirdest part of this. So, do you know what game from Activision has, like, above and beyond support for the hearing impaired?
What game?
Fucking Call of Duty. Like, down to it's got stuff where they'll have subtitles and you drop into a game mode. They'll have a subtitle for what fucking game mode the announcer just announced it is.
Yep.
Which, again, like, doesn't make it better, but it's also no, as a company, you've obviously thought of this before.
Yeah. You just got lazy here for a cash grab. Just admit it.
Yeah. Let's do the most reasonable thing. Activision hates the deaf, and that's why they didn't put subtitles.
I will let you go that path on this one.
and I'll say this extra. As a developer myself, if you don't know how to put text on a screen, what are you doing in development?
Yeah, as someone who's worked in the payment industry, the idea of subtitling is easy.
Come on. Putting letters on the screen, like...
Especially in cinematics?
In the cinematic, just in general, let's just say that the layer, or at the point in, like, 3D generation that you'd be even adding text on top, it's just... You could do that. You could literally do that with a shader. You could add in text with a shader if you needed to. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That just come on. Like that is a pixel shader. If you could actually write in text into any 3D thing just using a pixel shader. Just use a pixel shader to create your text in there. I mean, come on. It's so ridiculous.
But it's my money and I need it now.
It's not like we're dealing with like a Sega Master System and some sort of weird bespoke hardware. We're dealing with basically PCs now. So I mean, come on.
Yeah,
get with it.
Kind of in the same vein as how ridiculous this whole situation is. Either of you two H1Z1 fans?
Nope.
Were either of you aware that there's an esports league built up around that game?
Nope.
Well, it's collapsed.
Yeah?
Okay.
What a shocker.
Because the teams were going unpaid for it. Mostly for me, this was, I didn't know H1Z1 had an esports league.
Me neither.
Yeah.
It's almost like a game that just came out of alpha into a beta after being in alpha for how many years now?
Yeah.
Yep.
What? They don't have an established esports league set up and they're not paying their players? Well, color me surprised.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that's the same creator as PUBG, right?
No.
Or people that worked on H1Z1, or is that no? Hold on.
So the original one was a mod for Arma 2.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Arma. Yeah.
That became what H1Z1,
which has admittedly converted to a battle royale mode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the mystifying part of PlayerUnknown, because there were cheaper ways to play a Battle Royale mode that was, in some cases, further along than that game was. But there's not much more to say on this one, except video games are weird, apparently.
Yep.
And
Just
maybe esports shouldn't be everything.
Those guys should just move on. Those players should just move on to playing totally accurate Battlegrounds and get the same play.
Yeah.
Get the same experience.
Yeah. Kind of continuing our trend of, okay, that's a thing. I remember last week we talked about how they were changing some stuff in Rainbow Six Siege that was upsetting players for the international market.
Yeah.
They're not doing that anymore.
They're like, I guess we won't do that after all.
Yeah, my reaction on this one is like, okay, you said you were doing this, now you've walked it back. I don't know. Like, I in hindsight, I'm not sure I cared that much you were taking this stuff out, but I also don't play that game. Like, some of the stuff was, okay, whatever. At the same time, I like skulls in video games, and when you go after skulls in video games because a certain market does not like skulls, that feels a little weird, but yeah, that's not changing anymore, so... The explanation they gave was, like, splitting it up into the global version versus the already existing version was problematic, and I'm like, no! People seemed really upset about this, and you're not sure how well it will do in other markets.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well...
It's dumb.
Well, the thing is, I mean, at least that does mean that companies are continuing to listen to consumer outrage. Though, I'll just throw an aside on here about that. I hope that they don't... I guess I'm kind of in the middle here. I want companies to respond to the consumers, but I also don't want companies' entire direction being directed by, like, 10 angry consumers out of the thousands of consumers.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want their entire direction to be held by, like, 1% of their consumer base.
Yep.
But anyways, that was just a little aside.
Yeah, so, do you two want to do Blizzard or Bethesda next?
Let's do Bethesda and then we'll transition.
Okay, so, Fallout 76 has been out, what now, 3 weeks when this goes up, more or less?
Mm-hmm.
That's about right, yeah. Fairly recently.
It's been a bit of a rough road for that game. A lot of kind of hilarity has ensued. By hilarity, I mean problems. You had the invincible player who was posting about how much it sucked being invincible and now is pissed that he's no longer invincible, which is a whole separate, people are dumb.
Wait, he was invincible? How?
His character could not die.
Why?
A glitch in the game. There was something like Bethesda fixed it. And now he's pissed. He's no longer a Fallout World god. But you have the Fallout 76 patch for the PS4 that was fucking 47 gigs,
which is awesome.
Which is basically a fresh install of the game.
Just reinstall the game.
Yeah, it's 6 gigs off from being the original install of that game. And on PC and Xbox, it was 15 gigs, which is still not nothing, but not quite as insane.
Yeah.
At this point, if your patch is almost the same as your file size, you're essentially reinstalling the entire game because there's
it's just a reinstall
issue.
Yep.
And kind of the icing on the cake, I guess, for this one is, and this will speak to kind of maybe some other stuff that's going on with that company at this point. Someone contacted Bethesda support. They said, hey, I want a refund. And maybe they were out of line saying this. And they said, sure, we'll basically give you one. And then a day later, we're like, actually, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
On one hand, like I think it's one of those ones where it's I've never heard of a game company offering refunds for their games that from that methodology. On the other hand, maybe give this one person a refund because you said you would, and keep this from becoming a big deal, and then quickly and scummily change your user agreement to basically be like, Bethesda no longer offers fucking refunds.
Yep.
But so what this does speak to, and kind of I'm gonna be a little kind of reading into this one, extrapolate a little bit from what this is. That game's biggest criticism is how little there is to do once you're in it. There's not a lot of kind of quote, Fallout stuff.
Yeah. That's what I've heard too. It's just, it seems like you create your dolly to put in the game, and then it's just like, well, I'm in a game now. I guess.
Yeah, it's not devoid of things to do, but at the same time, what there is almost a free-to-play level game's amount of in-game purchases you can make via Bethesda's new store for real money.
Yep.
And while none of those are major just yet, the fact that they're already offering almost a 50% discount on this game on a bunch of platforms, I think kind of speaks to the idea of the point of this game was to get it in people's hands and to get you paying money for it.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fucking accurate.
I personally would bet money that by the next 6 months we'll see Fallout 76 go free to play.
Yeah,
or,
you know?
Or it'll be 76% off the original price.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like that might be a thing that, like, Bethesda, we're offering a 76% discount because, haha, we're clever.
Yep. And at that point, I will take all my credit. Bethesda, you can send me a free copy.
Yeah, it's real weird following that game as someone who's like, oh, this is bad, but not for me because it's not the game I want. And now, like, it's the, wow, this has gone places I never expected it was going to go. Like,
at this point, I'm just eating popcorn, waiting to see what comes next.
Oh no, my one of my favorite things the last couple of weeks has been news outlets that like covered Fallout 76 in real positive ways frequently. Kind of eating crow and posting articles about what the reality of Fallout 76 is and like having links to their positive articles, but like linked in like sarcastic or like, yeah, in the past we were like super enthused about this idea and now we're playing it. Here's that article. Here's what the reality is.
I mean, and the thing is, all right, so this is a long topic all on its own, so I'm not really going to go too far into it, but making an online, this idea of just being able to make just any sort of a online sort of soap or a sandbox-ish game, there's too much thinking that all you have to do is I just create a world and I just dump people in it and that's all it takes. And I mean, it's harder to just make, I mean, that's the thing. You have to give people a good purpose and a good reason to be in that world for one thing. It's not enough to just make a world. You have to have a world that's engaging for people to actually want to be a part of it. If there's just like a lack of things that actually take advantage of being online or things that take advantage of it being a multiplayer game or whatever, if you don't have enough of that stuff, then why did you make the game a multiplayer online game in the first place? It's just, I think it's too much thought of as sort of just like a magic addition. You just add this to the game. I mean, they did this with Assassin's Creed Unity too. Add networking to a game, automatic winner. And that's not even remotely true.
Yeah.
I will say there are exceptions to the rule on like a game that you can make that doesn't really have like a story or anything really driven. It's just the environment itself that really works out. Like Gary's mod was just kind of this weird.
Well, that's a toy box. That's not a game.
I would beg to differ. I think it goes right into it becomes its own crazy thing because of it. Like the sandbox environment lets you create kind of this crazy sort of game, but like there's a lot of really cool stuff that's come out of Gary's mod.
I mean, you could make something with Gary's. You can make something with Gary's mod, but Gary's mod itself not a game. It's a tool for making games.
Yeah, I would say Gary's mod's more akin to a level editor than anything else.
Yes, it's a level editor. It's a tool. It's not a game in itself. You can make games with it, but it'd be like calling Unreal Engine a game. Unreal Engine, not a game on its own. It's an engine for making games.
Alright, I could see that. Okay.
Yeah, Gary's mod on its own, there's not something, you don't just boot it up and play the game. You build stuff with it. I mean, for instance, I would call Legos a toy, but I would not call them a game.
Okay.
Like, they aren't a game board like the Game of Life or Monopoly or something. they're a tool for building things. And that's the same thing for Gary's Mod. But but my point is just that if you're going to make an online world, you'd better put things in an online world that take advantage of it being online. If you don't, then you might as well have not made an online game.
Yeah.
I think there's just too many games that are made online for the purpose of should be of the thought that every game should be online, and that's not even remotely true.
Oh yeah, no, and I think this is one of those ones where we've had too many games. Maybe Star Citizen's kind of what I go to as an example on this one, where the game came out and it's technically a game. It is enough of a game that you go, yeah, this is a game, and they then patch it into what it was supposed to be later. Like I have, within reasonable doubt, I believe that like a year from now, Fallout 76 might and will probably be what people thought that game was. And kind of a rare twist for me when people ask, like, hey, what do you think of Fallout 76 at launch? I'm like, you should temper your expectations. It's never going to be for me, but if you're a hardcore Fallout fan, like, maybe there's something in there for you, but, like, don't go in expecting Fallout 4 or even Fallout 3. Like, it's not that, and I don't know if it ever will be, but this sure is fucking a weird way. It feels like you got people to pay for a beta. Again.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Blizzard time?
Yeah. Let me get myself in the mental space for this here. I need to channel my inner nerd rage. Okay. So, Blizzard news. So last week we've talked about kind of the whole crazy stuff with Diablo and all this. It's been an ongoing topic for the last couple weeks now.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid even.
Yes. It turns out there's more and more layers to this whole thing that's been going on. And it looks like Jason, was it Schreier? I think so. If I butchered his name, I'm sorry.
It's Schreier,
yeah. Who's apparently been known to be kind of an asshole, but also relatively, pretty consistent for the most part when it comes to some of these leak things and things like that. I think some of his history, he had revealed some good Smash details and things like that. So, as far as somewhat trustworthy, he's kind of up there, at least from what I've heard. Apparently he's talked to a lot of current and former Blizzard employees, so he's gotten quite a bit of information as far as what's kind of going on and things like that. So, and apparently, I guess when people looked into it, the timeline's kind of that up. So it looks like there was a second Diablo 3 expansion being worked on. Let's go to the timeline of the events that were going on. So, obviously the original Diablo 3 came out, which was a mess. There was a lot of issues with that here and there. So they were working on a second expansion, and at that point, I guess from what they were saying was that the company itself lost confidence in Diablo 3 as a whole. Even after Reaper of Souls came out, which fixed a lot of stuff. It just, they lost faith in it. So they decided to scrap the second expansion for Diablo 3 altogether and just say, we're going to start with Diablo 4. So Diablo 4 has taken on a couple different visions so far. One of them being that one of the original guys was working on it, but was going to take the game in a whole new direction. It was going to transform Diablo 4 into a Dark Souls-esque third-person over-the-shoulder dungeon crawler game. So it was this weird evolution of like where it was going to go, and then that project got scrapped. And one of the guys who was in charge ended up leaving the company. Team 3, which was the team responsible for Diablo, kind of got dispersed. A couple different guys got moved around to different departments and different teams, and whoever was left over put out the expansion, or the Rise of the Necromancer pack that came out for Diablo 3. Which would explain why there was no actual expansion, but rather it was a add-on pack. It seems like just a lot of people in general were, it was just that the company itself had lost faith in the Diablo brand for a while, it seemed.
And
yeah,
admittedly not without decent reason. Like that Diablo 3 launch was complicated.
well, between the Error 37 memes and then the auction house fiasco and everything like that, it was, as far as Blizzard goes, they deemed it a failure.
Like I said, very complicated launch.
Yeah. Even though Reaper Souls did address a lot of solid issues, it was, in their eyes, a failure. So, part of the reason things have been kind of scrapped a few times now, because that idea got scrapped, which I believe was called, they had a name for it. They always give themselves pretty cool names like Titan and things like that. So it looks like the name for this project was, and where was that? I know what the newer one is, Fenris, which is the one they're working on now, which is supposed to be an actual Diablo 4 successor.
Really?
Yes. So apparently that is somehow being worked on, but the thing is, like, so Blizzard is, I will say to their credit, they keep things tight-lipped usually until they have some sort of public demo. Yeah. And that's usually kind of been how they go about it. And it's mainly because they don't want to get burned, because you have stories of like StarCraft Ghost getting canceled, and a lot of people were really looking forward to that. So that stuff haunts them and lingers them. Not to mention you had Titan, which also got canceled, but part of that team did kind of move on to go make Overwatch, which is kind of a good, a huge success for them. So yeah, it's been this whole weird thing, and apparently there's just like a lot of internal strife in terms of what kind of been going on with Diablo. Like, they're not, like, Blizzard's just kind of in a weird place right now, and I gotta give them credit for, like, wanting to, like, really be particular about this kind of stuff. But it's, yeah, they've been, like, dancing around, and it's just kind of awkward. So Immortal is something, obviously, that they kind of pressed on, but it even looks now, recently, with all the stuff that's been going on, a lot of the team that's been working on Immortal seems to have moved on to work to another unspecified project. That's Diablo related, and it looks like they have a lot of the interns now mainly focusing on Immortal, is what some of the stuff that he's been saying and what they've talked about. But it's also the culture recently in Blizzard has been also kind of odd, because remember we talked about how Activision is slowly seeping into Blizzard like an old god and pushing its influence. So a lot of the we talked about it before with a lot of their salary stuff recently getting changed around, where they lost their bonuses and things like that. Blizzard themselves actually recently brought in a CFO who is from Activision themselves. It's not one of their new hires. It's one person who recently showed up, and I think one of the first times in ages they've actually said, hey, one of our main goals now is cutting costs. So for a lot of people who've worked at Blizzard for a long time, it's been very much a culture shock now, because it's like, we still want you to crush it and do all this, but now you need to do it with a lot less. So, which also kind of ties into an interesting relationship that they mentioned, where Mike Morhaime, the guy who was there before, the president of Blizzard, who stepped down recently, a lot of people refer to him as kind of the anti-CEO, because his focus is always on, like, let's make players happy, let's do this. He was like, he's a very interesting influence on this, and that was kind of his focus. So the fact that he's recently also stepped down, a lot of the rumors flying around that were involving, well, it's kind of butting heads now with where Activision wants to take the company. So it's just kind of this weird place where they've been really scrambled. So the reason, I mean, like, you hear, like, there's this weird internal crazy thing going on right now, it sounds like. And it makes sense, because it really showed up in that whole Diablo Immortal, like, presentation at BlizzCon. Like, it just really seemed out of place. And it seemed really fucking weird and just odd in general. Like, that was how they wanted to go with it. And so the rumors between, like, well, they had something to show, but they don't, like, Blizzard has a history of, we don't announce something until we have a playable demo at BlizzCon kind of thing. And that is true. They've been very consistent with that. Even with, like, WoW expansions, they've always had that stuff available. I remember going to BlizzCon, and they announced the expansion that released the, what was it, Goblins and Worgen, and you could play the opening zones right then and there that same day. Like, it was, That's been kind of their whole thing. So, a lot of the stuff recently kind of feels like it's just mainly dealing to like a culture shift in general within Blizzard, and a lot of kind of internal loss of confidence with the Diablo franchise. So, yeah, no, there's just,
I think there's even more to that. So, they recently did the WoW Classic thing. I think it's because they're realizing that the WoW cash cow is going to wind down. And so
it has.
I think it has a couple times.
Well, I mean,
It has.
already, but I mean, in a much bigger way than it has in the past. That is, they're really seeing an end line to it when they haven't been even maybe considering that in the past. That they're really seeing possibly an end to that cash cow, because that's been funding everything for a while. Not now, but it had been.
I still think now it and Hearthstone are a major component of how that
absolutely.
studio stays around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the thing also with Diablo is they haven't found a way to monetize Diablo where it's profitable. Like you have with Hearthstone, you have obviously the packs of cards you buy. With World of Warcraft, you have monthly subscription coming in. On top of that, you have the special pets and mounts that people can buy and the services.
Yep.
Heroes of the Storm is a failure. And a lot of them have talked about how
I don't think it's a failure.
Compared to what the penetration of the market they wanted to make.
Yeah.
Heroes of the Storm is a failure.
I think did someone think that thing was going to take on like League of Legends and Dota 2? Maybe. Was that a realistic expectation? No. I do not get the impression that in the grand spectrum of things, that game was as much of a failure as we keep acting like it is. Like it is the MOBA for people that don't want to play the other two major MOBAs.
Yeah.
So as far as Blizzard standards go, it's a failure.
I understand the Blizzard standard is a part of this. I also think that like they wouldn't keep releasing stuff for it if it was a total failure in their book. Like they just put out a new character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but compared to the previous years where they've released at least 2 new characters every time?
Is it slowing? Sure. Are they also running out of characters from other games to put in? Also a little bit.
Well, they created a new character for this last one.
That's what I'm saying. They're making new characters for it. Like historically that game has been nothing but characters from their other franchises. Like unless you're gonna start putting Destiny and Call of Duty characters in there, which would be cool.
No, Blackthorn and the Lost Vikings need to find their way in there.
They are.
They are?
I'm pretty sure the Lost Vikings are. I'm not sure about Blackthorn.
The Vikings are.
Yeah.
Vikings are
They
in
are?
there. Yes, they are. See, and that just comes to show you that even though it's been around, even someone who's looking for characters that we're like, oh yeah, it's an old, Blizzard franchise, even they don't know.
Yeah, but also, like, I don't care about MOBAs, so it's not a fair...
Yeah. Well, MOBAs is also kind of I personally think unless you're a League of Legends, most MOBAs are just going to create and die. Like, I like Smite because I like the way it plays and all that stuff, but compared to League, no, it's not happening.
I think Blackthorn is also in Heroes of the Storm.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's a playable character.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm looking for him.
For tips on the ones you wanted.
Oh no, he was announced. He's not shown up.
Oh, okay.
I guess he was still under discussion at BlizzCon 2017, but dating all the way back to 2013, he was listed as a character that would be coming to that game.
I found the Lost Vikings. That's impressive, actually. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with that. A lot more that I just haven't been keeping track of heroes. I like MOBAs, but I just have not kept track of this one at all.
Is it a MOBA you should spend your time keeping track of? I don't know. I
haven't played it, so I can't say anything about it. As far as how good of a game is it?
It's not League of Legends. It's not Dota 2. Like it's there's no giant esports arenas being built to play this game the way they're playing Overwatch. But also, like, you launch this game into a very saturated market with 2 giant monsters in it already.
Yeah,
I don't think it's fair to go like, oh, we didn't beat the other 2 that have like multi-billion-dollar empires built around them right now, so it's a failure. Sorry, we're getting way off track at this point. I just wanted to, I don't care about Heroes of the Storm, but the idea it's like, oh, it's a failure. No, it's fucking not. It's still making them money too. Just maybe not the amount of money they had. I'm sure there's a chart at Blizzard that was like all of the money equals Heroes of the Storm, and when it didn't do that, they're like, oh, failure. And I'm like, it's still making you lots of money.
Just not buckets, not the same amount of buckets of money.
Hails of money, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, continue.
Mm-hmm. So between that, and by the way, I found the name of that project. The project where the Dark Souls-esque Diablo take was called Hades, and that one got canceled. So there recently been some new job postings for an unannounced Diablo project. So they are in fact working on multiple Diablo projects, as they've been saying several times. And it looks like
that one for phones.
Yeah, well, no, I mean like other than like Immortal. Like there's actually other workings, it looks like, on here. But yeah, it looks like there was a lot of strife, which explains why it's been so quiet with Blizzard in terms of Diablo, just because like they feel like currently the Diablo name is kind of just a meme in terms of like what happened with launch and all the issues with it. So they're looking for a way to kind of come out with Diablo 4. There's apparently there's something going on with it right now, and I guess they really wanted to go back to that dark story, or like just the embrace the darkness is one of their pillars, I believe they were saying on there. So but it's there's nothing near ready for that right now.
Sure.
So but yeah, they did post something for a systems designer and a composer, audio composer.
Yeah.
So they're working on something, but yeah, it looks like there was a lot other than just like, oh, well, we're working on Immortal. Looks like there was a lot of happenings on the back end, not just with Diablo in general, but just with the culture itself at Blizzard, it seems. So with like the bonuses stuff changing and Diablo's second expansion, or Diablo 3's second expansion, just getting canceled, people getting shifted around. The Team 3 was the actual main project or team that was working on that, and they just got all dispersed, or a good chunk of them did. So yeah, there's a lot going on with that. So there's also, since they also mentioned in their previous interview, hey, we're working on multiple Diablo or multiple projects all over the place. Looks like they're working on a Pokemon Go inspired Warcraft game on mobile as well. So I guess because a lot of Blizzard developers played the Pokemon Go at work, because that orc statue on their campus is, I guess, a Pokestop or something. So, yeah, at least from what they were talking about, what is it? Some Blizzard developers are genuinely excited to make mobile games, so it is very much that change as well. Let's see what else here. What did I miss? Yeah, Project Hades Diablo game. Fenris is the current one, early development, which probably won't. There's rumors saying that it won't launch until 2020, maybe. So that'll be interesting to go. But they're keeping it really tight-lipped because of Titan. Yeah. And I guess overall, I mean, it's just, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, which makes a lot of sense, I think. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it definitely puts into perspective why Diablo's been what it's been as of late, and why, like, it was just felt like it was so, what is it? I want to say consumer blind into maybe thinking like announcing a mobile game for your hardcore PC players.
Yeah, I
was just went through so many people, and it's like, yeah, no, let's go with that.
I've never had the love for Blizzard lots of people have. They've made some games I've been a big fan of. They've made some games that I was kind of on. And like, honestly, if you asked me kind of where my perspective on Blizzard from they're one of the good ones to they're just another development studio shifted, I'd probably say something like it was either around the time Heroes of the Storm came out or when they did the auction house for Diablo 3, whichever of those happened first, and then the other one kind of cemented my view on it, where it's like, it was too, like, Heroes of the Storm is a cash grabby, we're totally trying, like, in the weirdest way possible, it's the, okay, Dota comes from a game mod made in one of your games. The fact that you guys weren't smart enough to buy that shit is a weird choice, and the fact that you're now putting out this imitation of an imitation of an imitation kind of is a absolutely kind of weird, like, three-dimensional chess mistake on someone's part. But at the same time, fucking everyone was making a MOBA when that thing came out, so...
Yep.
Like, I can see the whiteboard of, what if we just made the MOBA that people already were playing and put that Blizzard spin on it? And again, like, Hereroes of the Storm isn't bad. Like, fucking Hearthstone proves the Blizzard world will sell stuff that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what Blizzard has done with it previously. Like, that thing is a stupidly big success. At the same time, it was Magic the Gathering on phones and PCs before there was a good Magic the Gathering on phones and PCs. Like, if its competitor was the shitty Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games, really, and those were shitty.
Yeah.
It's like, what's it going to go? Oh, Dark Eye. Ooh, Judgment Eye. That's a gimmick. It's, like, honestly, the last time that, again, like, I've never cared about the Diablo franchise. Diablo 3 on PS4 is my favorite Diablo game, and I know that's heresy to a bunch of Diablo fans out there. Like, I never cared more about that franchise than when I bought Diablo 4 for like $25 on Video Game Black Friday off some website, and I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Neat. So, this idea that it's like, oh, it's just happening that Blizzard's not being, quote, old school Blizzard, I think people have been lying to themselves for a while, and you've had numerous examples in the past, like Hearthstone, Here's the Storm, the Auction House fiasco, some of the stuff they've done to WoW, where it's like, okay, someone let some business people touch the whiteboard again, and they just wrote the words money in giant letters across whatever anyone was doing previously. And I think it's one of those things where also, like, think back to the first like 3 or 4 years of World of Warcraft, where the conversation was, will Blizzard ever make another video game ever again? Like, is that studio just doing WoW?
I mean, it makes sense too, because like some of the things that some of the employees were talking about is this is one of the first years that Blizzard has been saying, hey, we want to cut costs and also show growth. That's never been a discussion apparently before at Blizzard in terms of a culture, and this just recently started showing up.
No,
and also teamed up with the fact that they have a new CFO who came from Activision.
I think for the first time kind of in Blizzard's history since it became Blizzard, they've had to actually act like a game studio.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of those things where it's like, maybe the writing was on the wall back when it became Blizzard Activision. Like, that was back in, 2008 or something like that? We're like, maybe we should have assumed then. It's like, okay, it's not going to be tomorrow, but this mythical Blizzard we've come up with, it's dead. Eventually, Activision is going to leak through whatever cracks are in their wall, and the black goo is going to get into the CFO or the CEO or whoever really runs this ship's brain, and we're going to walk in one day and management's going to be there in a suit going, money! And then and then we'll be done for. And, but also, like, really, when's the last time Blizzard had to work like a game studio prior to this point in time? Like, it's Overwatch is doing fucking great, but also Overwatch is rife with microtransactions. It's loot boxes, loot boxes, loot boxes. And you have a bunch of countries where that game is really popular going, okay, maybe we want to have an opinion about loot boxes now.
Yeah.
Like, you have Diablo 3 that did sales-wise well, but it wasn't monetized, as you said, and had this giant fiasco of the auction house where it's like, okay, yeah, that way we were going to make money off this game, didn't work out so great.
Yeah.
And it kind of killed the community around it. And so now you're at a point where it's okay, WoW isn't making gallons of money anymore. It's still making a lot of money and will keep us going for the foreseeable future. But we have to, like, WoW 2 will never happen. The climate has changed.
Yeah.
Our MOBA didn't take off. Our card game, which is still making money hand over fist, has actual competitors out there that seem to do okay, and people spend a lot less time pissed off at, apparently. Like, the resentment towards Hearthstone has grown as other options have presented themselves. And
Well, now Magic the Gathering is back in the online game, so I mean that's a huge one.
you have the game that they were kind of going, oh look, we're on a phone against, actually on phones now and shit, where it's like, oh, we didn't think this one through. And like, I don't play Hearthstone anymore. I played it very briefly on my phone. What I do play is the weird Warhammer 40k Hearthstone knockoff, like, which is not a great game, but I find it fun because it's got cool stuff going on. That's an IP I care more about. Like, enough Hearthstone clones exist now where it's like, okay, we're not the only thing in this game that's good enough to play. We made the thing that now everyone's ripping off a little bit, and like Legion, like so you have World of Warcraft, Cataclysm. They got away with, hey, we changed a bunch of shit, so people were like, oh cool, you changed a bunch of shit, and then Draenor happened, and people went, huh, maybe I don't want to play WoW anymore. And then you had Legion happen, people were like, oh shit, they're back. That expansion was just bad. It's cool again. And now you have what we're in currently now, which is what? It's Battle for Azeroth?
Yeah.
Where, again, people are like, okay, this expansion was bad after a really good expansion. Is this how it's going to be for the next couple cycles, where it goes good expansion, bad expansion? And maybe I don't want to play WoW anymore. It's the purely guesstimating at this point, but I'm pretty sure the harder core community of the two factions there is the Horde community, and you now have a bunch of Horde players going, I don't like where my faction's going, and I have no way of controlling this. But hey, that Final Fantasy game looks good. That Black Desert Online game looks okay. That Destiny thing is kind of an MMO. Warframe has guns and swords. Like, again, you have alternatives to a community-driven MMO-like thing that you just didn't for a long period of time. Like the number of, quote, WoW killers that came and went, and now it's like, it's not about killing WoW. It's about doing something else people want to play in the same way, and other people are doing it.
Yeah.
So again, it's not some like, oh, we're not making money. It's we're making money, but we built our entire infrastructure based around making all of the money, and now we're not, and we're like, this has been a long-winded way of getting to, I don't totally believe Blizzard knows how to make a modern video game. StarCraft 2 happened, it was cool for 2 years, and then the community for that franchise went back to StarCraft 1.
That's interesting.
That is an interesting way to look at it. I will give you that.
Like, the esports for StarCraft should have been like, oh shit, we got this new StarCraft. StarCraft came out and they went, actually no, we're going back to the old thing. So much so, you're going to make patches and then an HD upres of the old thing.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, Overwatch, I mean, but the thing is, they still have games that are definitely still killing it.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
and I'm not saying that, but there are games that have been killing it for a while now. Like,
that's true.
Like, what really is the newest game from Blizzard? It's Overwatch, which is now, what, 2-3 years old at this point?
Yeah.
And, like, why did Overwatch do well? It was the competitive shooter from Blizzard.
Yeah.
Do you think if Overwatch launched in this current Blizzard environment, it would do as well? I don't know, but also I don't, like, we've moved away from MOBAs in a way that Overwatch was the shooter MOBA in a weird way.
Yeah.
It appealed in that same way that's like, it's ultra competitive,
well,
but it's not clicky.
It came out at the same time a lot of battle arena games came out in general.
I think it predates them by about a year. Like, it came out, it kind of wrecked at competitive FPSs, and then all the battle royales came out. And then you had Overwatch clones.
Well, I'm not talking about battle royales. I'm just talking about the just arena shooters in general. I mean, it's an arena shooter among many arena shooters.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other arena shooters that came out around that time. Like, I know, like, Lawbreakers came out after the fact.
Yep.
Fuck, what was it called? The Gearbox one. The
I don't
Battleborn.
remember.
That sounds right.
Oh,
like, that came out around that time. That was bad, but that was also just kind of bad.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not coming up with another arena shooters that came out in that time period. Like, you had other arena shooters, I'm sure, that just weren't good. Like, Quake Champions is a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
no one seems to dig it all that hardcore. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those ones where it's like Overwatch was the last thing Blizzard did that kind of played to what Blizzard's strengths were previously. And I think the idea of like, well, what do you do next? Well, like by what you were talking about, the idea of, oh, a lot of our staff plays Pokemon Go, we should make a Pokemon Go game, is the weirdest sentence out of Blizzard ever.
Yeah, they want to cash in on that monetization for mobile.
And it's if you look at Heroes of the Storm from that same way, where it's like, hey, people really seem to like MOBAs right now. We should do something with that. And we have this roster of IPs people care about for whatever reason. That'll be enough to get people to come play it as opposed to the other two. And it wasn't. Like,
I mean, but Blizzard has been sort of living off of its IP, its own IP for a while now. That's just the worlds that they built, just the Warcraft and Starcraft world. They have been living off of those for a long time now, and I think they're starting to see the cracks in that too.
Well, I think it's one of those things where I also think like it's the people are less willing to kind of put up with stuff. Like it's the on one hand, like my ongoing search for an MMO proves that like, yeah, Blizzard's still a big contender in that market, but like you have Warframe, which does kind of what I wish World of Warcraft did. You have Black Desert Online, which again, it's got its own set of problems, but it does what I kind of want World of Warcraft to do. Like Terra is a fantastic alternative to Warcraft in some ways. It has its own kind of Korean MMO problems, and but at the same time, it's free.
Yep, and I play the heck out of it. Yeah. That's the only MMO that I play right now.
Yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of some of its design choices, and it's got some stuff I don't like, but the fact that it's a real-time playing action MMO very much appeals to me. Like, it's of the three of us who plays the most loot shooter and the most loot-driven games, the fact that I won't play WoW anymore because it feels old is a weirdly telling thing. The fact that, like, I've played almost everything that's an MMO that's a loot-based game at this point, and some I like more than others, but yeah, like, it's just the biggest MMO. It's not the best, I think, even at this point, by anyone's measure. It's just the biggest, and that makes it the best in a world where you judge that type of game by community size and engagement and all that stuff. It is the best by that proxy, but you've got an expansion that's making people drop their subscriptions. You've got Alex, who the idea of I'm going to play another MMO pretty hardcore, that's roll back to before Battle for Azeroth, that's shocking.
Yeah,
yeah, because I was fucking 100% in for Legion.
No, and you like Legion was like, yeah, they fixed it. They're not gonna give us another Warlords of Draenor, and they kind of did. Like you can get away with one Warlords of Draenor. The second Warlords of Draenor, it's not like, oh, it was a bad expansion. It was, this is appearing to be a pattern.
Yeah, there's somewhere in the design there's a fundamental breakdown in what you want to do and what the consumers want.
Yeah,
and there's just a solid breakdown.
Yeah, it's like you've got WoW players like me that honestly are like, maybe you shouldn't have done anything after Wrath of the Lich King. Like that's the end of the story of the lore you had, and everything after that fact has been this weird World of Warcraft lore that, like, I get some people are into, but I, as a fan of Warcraft, do not give a fuck about the dragons or the elementals or whatever. I wanted to kill the Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, as someone who cares a lot about that lore, where World of Warcraft is now, it's like, nah, I don't care. Like, when I was playing through that game again, once I got past Wrath of the Lich King, it's like, oh, Pandaria! I kind of care about the pandas. Not as much as I cared about skull-fucking Arthas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, maybe Pandaria's your victory lap of like, yo, Pandarans, we out. But, yeah, like I'll say it again, like, it's if you ask me if I honestly believe Blizzard can make a modern video game that's as complex as it's done in the past, I don't know. I really don't.
Well, they haven't done anything in the scale of a StarCraft or Warcraft in a long time now.
Yeah, like Diablo 3 was even a toned back version of Diablo.
Yeah.
It was. And it's interesting that you say that because, like I mentioned before, one of their pillars they're saying for the new Diablo they're working on is that they're embracing the old darkness from Diablo 2. The grittiness and all that stuff, instead of making it like a cleaner version of it, if you will.
Personally, I like it's like there's a lot about Diablo 3 I like. I like the look of it. I think it's got a clean look to it. I like the classes for it. Like, and I get that some Diablo diehards like, oh, this is missing and that's missing and rah, 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 rah. Whatever. You're not gonna make everyone happy, but as someone who like should have been all fucking over Diablo historically and could not be bothered to pick up that edgelordy franchise, it's weird where it's like, okay, what's actually missing? Ah, the Satan. I played Doom. That's all about the Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's the, like, I'm kind of surprised there's this level of kind of diehard fanboyness after Diablo 3 in some ways. Like, it's, like, Alex is the only real diehard Blizzard fan I've ever known. Like, a bunch of my friends growing up were, like, all fucking into Diablo 2, where it's like, oh, you're not playing? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like Diablo 2. I'd rather go play Warcraft 3 online and get my ass smoked by a bunch of Korean players. What about StarCraft? I don't fuck with online StarCraft.
Yeah, even I didn't fuck with online StarCraft, and as big as I was, I knew, no, I'm not fucking anybody up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll touch on as far as the Blizzard stuff goes is just very quickly here. One of the things that apparently Activision wants Blizzard to do now is to start pushing out content more often on a regular schedule. And if that sounds awfully familiar, it sounds a lot like they want them to convert to the Call of Duty model.
Yeah.
But see, Blizzard's not known for doing that.
It's
Blizzard in a weird way has that very similar, like, and don't get upset at the comparison here, but they also have that very similar Rockstar Games style where it's like, we'll release it when it's ready. Like, that's how Blizzard has been.
I don't think it's a bad comparison in some ways. I would guess, I think the difference in this one is, like, in the time it took them to, like, for better or worse, GTA 5 came out 3 separate times across its lifespan. Each one, it made a shit ton of sales, and in that time in between, it had a lot of microtransactions going on. Like, I think the difference for that is that Blizzard's not tied up in, Rockstar is Rockstar. They are a separate entity that Take-Two publishes their shit, but they kind of get to be their own thing. They're also arguably the makers of some of the most successful games of all time, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to say, like, GTA 5 managed to make Rockstar money and Take-Two money in ways that's comparable to the lifestyle of Blizzard's World of Warcraft stuff, but I kind of think they did.
Yeah.
For, like, the amount of effort required for that monetization versus the other monetization, I think there's a real awkward chart out there where it's like, yeah, this 5-year-old game made $500 million in skins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, I guess kind of the counterpoint to that is that goes back to more like, is Blizzard capable of working in a modern way? Like, it's this, like, Rockstar is really the only company that can get away with it's done when it's done, because when it's done, it's like, fucking clear the way, it's a Rockstar game coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time it lands with such an impact, it's like, wow, we just killed October.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Like, that's, even now, like, there was an article I saw, people were comparing Red Dead Redemption 2 to being on the artistic level of, like, The Godfather, the movie, and all that.
I think it's going a bit far, because, yeah, I'm not going to get into that kind of feeling on that game, on that topic. Like, it's in a year of amazing games, Red Dead Redemption is going to run away with a bunch of awards that I don't think it deserves, because, like, that thing left a crater 1 billion miles wide as hit orbit kind of thing. It's like, yo, I'm here, worship me. And to be fair, it's capable of pulling that off because it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like Blizzard has not had that type of thing. Like Overwatch, a giant global success, didn't clear the way that game did. Like, other stuff came out around Overwatch where it's like, oh, yeah, that's an arena shooter. We don't compete in that market, so we're fine. the people that are playing that aren't going to play our shit. So whatever.
That's fair.
Yeah, like Battlefield has its own set of problems, but they moved out of the way for whatever reason. But also, man, that Rockstar game's coming. It's a totally different genre, and we don't want to compete with it still.
Yep.
We don't want that release window. And I guess the idea of, hey, you have to put games out more, like you have these things, you have to iterate on them more frequently, is a modern thing. You have to keep people engaged because, like, Hearthstone, other stuff take your attention away. WoW, there's other stuff take your attention away. Overwatch, there's other stuff to take your attention away at this point. Like, none of these things are standing alone as they used to. There's other stuff that maybe it's not as good or it appeals to a different group, but you have more things grabbing other people's attention. Like, I'm not going to say Anthem is some WoW killer, but I'm sure as hell going to check out WoW and stop playing Destiny and Warframe for a chunk of time, because that thing is new and falls into a category of what I like to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do think you brought up a very interesting question. Like, is Blizzard able to kind of adapt and create new games for the current era?
No.
Because, they've done a lot of remasters. But...
I don't think as they are right now, they can. I think, like, they've gotten away with, we're fucking Blizzard a little bit too long. And, like, I guess, like, to go back to your comparison, Rockstar keeps reinventing what the modern era of their video games is every time it comes out. Like, if Diablo 3 came out and it was like, oh shit, the dungeon crawler is new and bizarre and they've done it again, yeah, you could keep that kind of Blizzard mystique going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not it. Like, Overwatch even was like, it's a really good arena shooter. Okay, what else? No, nothing else. It's just a really good arena shooter.
Yep, that's it. They're really good at putting polish. Essentially, they kind of remind me of Apple in a certain way, and hear me out here. They're good at putting a certain amount of polish on something that's already established.
Yeah.
That's what none of their games have been groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Like either by genre or by game mechanic. None of their game mechanics have been like, oh, well, that's something I've never heard of, and or something that's really new or a new twist. No, it's nothing they've done has been, this has never been done before. I mean, they were in the RTS market, and there are those, Command and Conquer was already there, Westwood stuff, and when they did MMOs, I mean, MMOs already existed. They just did it very well.
Yeah,
Apple has kind of done the same type of thing where they take something really already existing and just package it really, really nicely. And that's one thing you can definitely say about Blizzard stuff. They have their mark, they have their artistic mark, and it's usually extremely polished. And as far as like the way the games play themselves, like the mechanics, the way they are very polished games, but no, they are nothing new, they are nothing innovative, they are nothing that's like mind-blowing. It's just really good versions of stuff that already exists.
And I think it's a weird, like, maybe I remember this more than you did, Alex, because I was kind of on this conversation a bunch, because I wasn't a huge Overwatch fan when it came out. But I remember, like, there was a ongoing conversation when Overwatch dropped that was kind of this weird waking up of certain parts of the gaming community that was, yeah, I don't think Blizzard's ever actually done anything original. They make very successful, better versions of other ideas people have come up with. Like, their most successful things have been refinements of other people's kind of original ideas. Like, it's EverQuest is it's not the original MMO, but it's the original kind of modern MMO. And the idea of Blizzard going like, hey, we're making EverQuest is a big deal, and they did, and they made a better EverQuest in some ways.
Yes.
But, like, there's enough stuff that predates it that wasn't even now that it's like, okay, yeah, nothing original. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, not even like Blackthorn or Lost Vikings. They weren't original. Like Blackthorn, there were already in quite a number of cinematic platformers, as they're kind of called. Basically, it's in the line of the Prince of Persia games, the old Prince of Persia, not the 3D ones, the old ones, the 2D ones, and those kind of puzzle platformers or cinematic platformers. It was really good, really, really well done version of one. Same goes for Lost Vikings. Lost Vikings was a puzzle platformer, and it didn't do anything really extraordinary. It had some neat stuff, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what Blizzard does moving forward. I look forward to kind of seeing how people like you, Alex, who cared. I'm not quite sure what the tense on this one should be. Like a great deal about Blizzard at certain points in Blizzard, like what your relationship is moving forward. Because I don't like you've had this fictitious company that hasn't been what it's been for a long time. It's just like it's this old house, and for a long time it was capable of looking fine, but a good storm came through and ripped the shutters off finally, and you can see the inside, and you go, "Oh, it's kind of dusty in there."
Yeah, yeah. It's nobody's actually renovated this thing. Nobody's actually updated anything in a long time.
Yeah.
So all right. So I guess what next genre do you think they're going to try to refine into a game? What genre do you think they're going to hop into and say, we're gonna make a polished version of this genre?
I don't know. I'm kind of surprised it's not a battle royale mode for Overwatch in some ways.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be intriguing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's I think if Destiny had come out before they canceled Titan the way they did, I'm not sure if Titan would have actually gone away. I think the idea of I'm getting into our news summons. I'm not in our news, our emails some, but like,
Yeah.
No one has nailed this kind of hero shooter MMO-ish game yet. And I think that's the next big one, because like if you can nail that and find a way to monetize it correctly, like I think like you've got Destiny, you've got Warframe, like
Yeah.
you've got games that are kind of very close to being the thing. And it's one of those ones where if Warframe had Destiny's kind of good feeling combat,
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of this next end all be all game in that arena. And like I think like Star Citizen out there is kind of vying for a weirder version of this title. I think like Dangerous is doing a similar thing. Like it's the next thing is like a new wave of lifestyle games, and the lifestyle seems to be kind of fantasy, sci-fi, hybrid-y things. Like the Secret World and Hellgate London were kind of the early attempts at this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's real-time, skillish based combat. But it's still kind of got those trappings of MMO where there's a lot to do, and I think that's why Grand Theft Auto Online was so successful. It had that infinite playability of an MMO because they kept feeding the beast, but it had like maybe to a certain extent the future of this kind of world is fucking EverQuest Online, which is steadily doing well, as I understand. Like Guild Wars has a similar thing going on. I've not played Anthem, so I can't talk about it, but like everything they keep showing for Anthem is unbelievably promising. And again, like if you could just make Warframe with Destiny good combat, you have a game that's going to wreck the industry. And no one's done that yet. And I'm not saying Warframe or Destiny or Anthem are bad games, but like if you could somehow nail that shit, you're the next World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We got one more news topic to get into before we move on to our main topic this week. We've spent a lot of fantastic time on this topic. I think we need to move the hell on, though, too, because there's not much more to say, I don't think, unless someone's got a strong opinion they want to get on this topic before we move on. Like, this has almost become its own bizarre main topic this week. It definitely ballooned in ways I wasn't expecting.
It definitely feels like it became its own main topic.
Yeah. And we are slavish to our format, if you will. Yeah, last but not least in our news is there's a Women in Games exhibition. Sorry, I'm fucking up words. Happening at... Where's this happening?
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. You're the one that brought this one in, Henry, so I'm just going to cut you loose on it.
Okay, so this is in the Strong Museum. It's the Women in Games exhibit as part of a National Museum of Play. And essentially it is the story of women in video gaming. I mean, that's the thing, like, women as you and I know that it's been discussed many times, like women kind of got pushed out of the gaming sense and in computers and in technology in a lot of senses when they used to be a major element of it. That is, like, women used to be the people running the computers and working the computers, and it changed. Things changed. But in any case, this particular exhibition highlighting contributions throughout the years as well as modern ones. So it included both, people such as Roberta Williams, who you maybe recognize the name from Sierra games, from a lot of the Sierra games, like King's Quest, stuff like that. And like, people that have been behind more recent games, like people that are part of 343 Industries. And so it's pretty cool. So it's actually, going through the ages. I see, more. Yeah, I'm just looking at the article, and just so much is listed, like so many, like really, really good contributions that maybe not necessarily even known, and some of them that are known and maybe not celebrated as much as they should be.
Yeah, and on top of that, like we always love highlighting things whenever like a history of gaming thing pops up, because it's long enough now that it has a history to it. Not a lot of people kind of care about the history of gaming in the same way they do about film, or TV, or movie, or kind of other art forms. And it's in some ways, at least in my opinion, one of the more interesting industries from a historical standpoint, because it is so weird. It's existed in these kind of times of great social change, where like just massive policy shifts have happened and kind of world perspectives on things during the games. In the same way that can be influenced by outside forces like the Cold War and all that jazz.
Yeah,
it's like you can still play some of this stuff and have the same reaction you'd have had playing in that time, because it's so well done.
Yes. And so I'm definitely sort of a game historian myself. I mean, that's why I really dig stuff like this, and I've seen a lot of really great game exhibitions, and I'm glad that this particular one and its focus, I'm happy that it has this focus for it, because I think it's great that it's being recognized in this particular exhibit. It's a lot of games. I mean, I'm looking, you look at the games and it's just like, oh yeah, these are all games that I play and still play. I played a lot of Sierra games back in the day, so that's something I'm really, really familiar with. But other things along the way too that you may not have realized had a lot of women involved in the developments.
Yeah. As our transition to our main topic this week, we are going to talk about that ever so awkward topic for this topic, Star Citizen. So it started before this podcast has gone up, but it's still going on by the time it goes up, so you can check this out if you want. Star Citizen is having a free fly event. If you are curious what the hell this game is, here is your chance. I'm not trying to find the exact time span for it, but there's basically for free, not having to buy it of any kind, you can play Star Citizen and you can check out over 80 of the ships from the game. And this is where it gets real weird, a $9,000 price tag of real world money, USD, worth of spaceships. It's saying that out loud. For free right now. It's a limited time event. November 23rd through November 30th. So by the time this goes up, we're about halfway through, give or take some time kind of thing. If you're curious what the hell this game is and why, whenever it's compared to Vaporware, I say I have a copy of it on my computer, but also it's not a real game. Here is your chance to experience the weirdness that is being a follower of the Star Citizen world. Again, I'm not saying you should spend money on this game, quite the opposite, but we're kind of, Alex will occasionally compare this game to being the Nuke Nukem of the modern era, and I say no, it's not, because I can play a version of it right now. Maybe go check it out. It could be a very cool game. Again, do not spend money on this.
Yeah.
This is a cool time because you don't have to spend money. And I only say this because, and this is leading into our main topic this week, Star Citizen hit over $200 million in crowdfunding this week.
They might as well actually build real spaceships.
They might as well. And again, we've covered Kickstarter in the past. This is not news that Star Citizen has an obscene amount of money backed into it. But this is in the same week that it's been revealed that Shenmue 3 had a Kickstarter campaign of almost over $7 million as well.
Yep.
Which means it's now time for us to once again return to fucking crowdfunding video games. And to clarify, I guess before we get into it, the 2015 Kickstarter for Shenmue only brought in $800,000, but across its lifespan, there's been additional crowdfunding, and that's racked up over $7 million.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
But, all right, so I think the thing is, and we have to think about this here, is there is only a couple of ways that a game will get funded, period.
Yes.
All right, so one of them, the owner is just deep pockets and can just pay for it out of game. Like, so, or a developer, or like a couple of developers just have enough deep pockets and they have enough to just fund a game. All right.
That's secure funding from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As investors, which then your investors will get to control your company because you're a publicly owned company. So you have a bunch of investors and they get to control the direction of your company now. So, I mean, that's the other thing. And then and those investors may not care anything about the product itself, just that it makes profit. So that's the thing that you can run into with investors, that they may not necessarily even care or believe in the product you're producing, other than the fact that it's going to make them lots of money. That's all they care about.
They want them returns.
Well, whereas with something like Kickstarter, there's no promise of return of funds, so you aren't getting people who are funding it in an attempt to take control of it or the company. And I think that's actually what's attractive to a lot of content creators is the ability to gather money without them claiming ownership over the product being made.
In a perfect world, the idea of, I want to make something I think is going to be real cool. Will you, strangers of the internet, help me make a thing I think is going to be cool? If you also think it could be cool, is a great idea. Like the idea of, we give people money to do things that they hope will turn out well, is a nice thought and an idealized society. It's a good thing. It would work out perfectly. But we don't live there. We live in a world where Mighty Number 9 happened.
Yep.
That's
the thing. It's like that, but even with an investor, I mean, you think about, I just mentioned the other ways you could possibly fund a game. Those can also produce terrible games. So I guess what the thing here is, what's the difference? What's our valuable difference here? What's actually making one feel different than the other?
Oh no, I think all of this is wrong and insane. Like, it's on one hand, I totally support like crowdfunding games is on concept a great idea that time and time again has been proven to be a bad idea. But I'd like to believe in it, but also it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and this is unfair and maybe in some ways, the future of crowdfunding video games hinges on Star Citizen to a certain extent. Like, that thing has become so synonymous with the idea of crowdsourcing of video games funding.
Yeah.
That if it comes out it's good, all of us assholes that put money into that game can go like, look, it was fine, it took forever, but look at this awesome-ass game we got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's bad, we put $200 million into a fucking video game that, like, we have no proof will ever come out, has had insane content creep, and will become if it's bad, every time someone tries to kickstart a video game, someone will post something going like, remember Star Citizen, and if it comes down, it's fine. You're in a weirder situation, but also, like, we've had too many, in some ways, examples of what happens if Star Citizen goes bad. Like, it's the number of
vaporware,
the amount of vaporware and acceptable Kickstarter games that came out. Like Alex, you funded Yooka-Laylee, right?
Oh, yes. A lot of people were sad on that one.
A lot of people were sad at that, and arguably they got exactly what they funded.
Yep.
It wasn't a bad game, it wasn't a good game, but people keep treating crowdfunding like it's Amazon.com, where it's like, oh, pre-order 6 months, awesome, I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh, that took longer than I wanted, or whatever, and like, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. That's problematic.
Or this is never happening.
Yeah.
Which has happened a lot.
You're gonna get bit connected. Is what's gonna happen.
Yep.
You're gonna throw your money at it, and they're just gonna fucking disappear.
Like fucking Mighty Number 9. Hey, we got it funded. Awesome. Hey, we want to crowdfund a second time. Hey, what about a third time, guys?
Not to mention, hey, we want to crowdfund another game while we're still working on this game.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then that game comes out, and we all go, huh. They've made Mega Man games without this guy that was the reason we crowdfunded this that are better than this.
Yep.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, even Bloodstained, which, again, looks like a cool-ass game, and it looks like that, oh, we want another Symphony of the Night-style Castlevania. Like, it's,
yeah.
Okay, cool. At the same time, the weirdest thing to come out of that entire game was the guy that made Castlevania going, what do you mean there's a phrase called Metroidvania out there?
The best stream with Kojima, or not Kojima, sorry, with Koji, is definitely the one where he was watching Rom Scout speedrun Symphony of the Night. And just his comments watching somebody completely wreck his game hardcore.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, he's upset.
Oh yeah, he's visibly upset that Rom Scout is just wrecking his game, just wrecking it.
Well, Rom Scout also is like a professional Castlevania. Like, it's such a niche thing for him, but like, he's a professional Castlevania Symphony of the Night speedrunner. Like,
Pretty much.
That's his whole focus.
Pretty much.
But see, here's little tidbit, by the way. He's also in charge of all the Twitch charity program stuff.
He's there. Yeah, he's a really neat guy. I've met him a couple of times.
Yeah.
At Games Done Quick. Yeah, he's a really great guy. But yeah,
absolutely bizarre situation too. Of my love for this game has led me to wreck this game in ways that piss off the creator of a game that I love.
Oh, the best I heard, this is actually during a GDQ, total aside, but listening to the devs of Double Dragon Neon go silent when at one point when they start breaking some things in that game, and they literally the phone, because they're on the phone, basically they're on the phone call with the devs, and the devs are just like, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, like, in broader sense, it's you can't quality control everything out of the game. There's always something, and I think it's a weird relationship with that whole community where it's you have the game creators, they're like, we made this great game that people love, and then when they're forced to see how that love comes out occasionally, like, I think Sonic has the hardest time with this, where it's like, man, people love Sonic.
But you know what the biggest strike against Bloodstained is? You know, one of the main companies working on that game?
Which one?
Inti Creates. You know what else they developed?
Don't say it.
Mighty Number 9.
God damn it.
Yes. So the people that are going to main development for Bloodstained is the same people who did Mighty Number 9, so be prepared for that one.
Yeah.
Yep. See,
and then you've got like me and Jeff's personal sin on this one of that Psychonauts 2 sure looked awfully awesome because more Psychonauts. I haven't heard a fucking thing about that thing since they said, hey, we're doing that Fig.
Yeah.
What happened to Fig?
Yeah. But yeah, I think, right now at this point, I don't know what to think about the whole Kickstartering, or one way or another crowdsourcing games, because, like you said, the problem is, if there's a really big one and it fails, like, dramatically, it's pretty much going to kill kickstarting games forever.
I personally think kickstarting games should be dead at this point, just based on, like, there have been too many successful Kickstarter campaigns that then the game came out and the reaction was, huh.
Yeah.
Like,
Can you think? All right, so I guess the more challenging thing would be: can you think of a Kickstarted game where everybody was like, "Wow, I really like that."
Mutant Football League.
Never played it.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've
It's like
heard
that
about
old
it.
Mutant Football League. I had a lot of fun playing it. Me and Alex played it, I think, at one point for a video. It's a cool game that is not for a lot of people.
Well, that one was once a board game.
Yep.
So I'm that's the way I'm familiar with it. I've never played the video
Mutant
game of it.
Football League?
Yeah.
No, it was also a Sega Genesis game.
It's also that.
Yeah. I don't think it was originally.
No, I'm thinking of Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
You're thinking Blood Bowl. No.
That was also a video game, but
Yeah, no. The one that Mutant Football League is based off of is actually a Sega Genesis game.
yeah,
Oh.
but like Murder League or something. I'm blanking on the exact name.
Oh no!
Something
It was
like that.
It was a game that was actually made by EA, and they made a football one, and they made a hockey one too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I'm right on this, right?
Yep, Don, you're absolutely correct.
That is Mutant League Football, I think.
Mutant League Football, yes, that is
Yes.
the Genesis one.
Mutant League, not Mutant Football. Yeah, they at least swapped 2 words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To get this done,
yeah,
and it's
yep.
great.
Okay, that is
I
it.
love it.
That is it. That's the EA one. Yep, Mutant League
But
Football.
that one, but also that Kickstarter launched with, "Yo, here's a demo of the game," and I downloaded that demo and went, "Hey, this is Mutant Football League, or this is Mutant League Football. This is like, if you just release this demo, I'll be happy. Here's $20." And then the real game came out with more stuff, and I'm like, that was good money well spent. This is a great game.
I
That's
think
not for everyone.
I think I actually did watch you guys playing that. I think that's the way I know this game. I think I did watch that
it
video.
is a fun-ass game that's not... Like, it is for those of us that look back on like the late 90s and early 2000s and go, you know what's the best football game of all time? Blitz.
Yeah,
And
Blitz,
everything else has sucked.
yeah, Blitz is pretty good. Yeah, but yeah,
I really hope they fix Blitz. The new Blitz is garbage.
Yep.
but yeah, Mutant Football League. Yeah, that looks like a fun game. I think I'd be in, even though I don't really watch the sports ball so often,
Yes.
or play the sports ball. It looks fun.
It is a fun game. It is a game that actively mocks how violent football is. And like, it's like, yeah, we're a fun game, but also there's some social commentary in here that like other places seem uncomfortable doing, but whatever. But like, also, that's the end of my list of
Yeah,
Kickstarter
that's the thing,
games
it's like-
I think succeeded.
I got another one
Okay.
that I think you guys are overlooking, and it has been a phenomenal success.
What? Okay.
Hollow Knight.
That
Was
was
that Kickstarter?
That was
Hollow
Kickstarted.
Knight was a
It was
Kickstarter,
absolutely kickstarted. That's true.
and that game is artistically fucking
No, that's
beautiful.
fair.
I mean, I know you're not a big fan of side scrollers, so I get that.
I
part,
can
Trev.
appreciate Hollow Knight for what it is. I thought that was a Steam Early Access game.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a Kickstarter, and then moved on to Steam
Yep.
and all that stuff too. And I think they've still been pumping out. Hell, didn't they put out a free DLC recently that was like
Probably.
a whole nother game or something like that?
Uh,
I believe it was these guys.
maybe I don't know. I don't own the game, so I don't know.
Yeah, but no, Hollow Knight is definitely a solid pick. I picked it up when it was on sale a
I
while
had
ago.
no
and-
clue this came out of Kickstarter.
Yeah, no, that is I've been told, 'cause I haven't gotten too far into it, that it is basically the 2D side scroller version of Dark Souls.
Yeah, that is a accurate assessment of that game, is my understanding. Oh, I guess like Hyper Light Drifter came out of that too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Elite
Was that
Dange?
was that their free DLC that they pushed out for or a free game they gave people?
No.
No, that's.
Completely.
Different.
Yeah, completely other game. But let me see.
I guess the Banner Saga also falls in there. Like Shovel Knight also does. Darkest Dungeon came out of Kickstarter. I totally fucking forgot about Wasteland 2.
Was that good?
It's for a certain group of people. You're really going to enjoy that game. I dug it, but also like that game is not for lots of people. If you like the Wasteland franchise, yes, you will probably like that game. Hell, if you like if it's that kind of old school tactical RTS style shooter RPG thing. I guess Super Hot came out of Kickstarter as well. I did not know that.
Super Meat Boy? Or
Super
which one?
Hot.
That's super hot.
Really? That was Kickstarter?
Interesting.
Hot.
That's also a fun game.
Yeah.
We also did a video on that one.
Broken Age came out of there too, but I don't think Broken Age is a good game.
I'm guessing you found some list of kickstarted games.
I found a popular on the web list. Yes, I'm trying to find a more. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I now need to sort this list by like popularity or how well the fuck it did.
Or when it was actually released.
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous? Did we mention that one already?
I didn't realize that was a.
Shovel Knight? We said Shovel Knight, didn't we?
Yeah, no, Elite Dangerous came through there. We did say Shovel Knight. I do like Elite Dangerous. Oh, Barkley 2. Fucking great. That came from Kickstarter.
Let's see. FTL did Faster Than Light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's actually...
There have been some successful games there. I guess I'm not saying, like, it's weird because none of the games we just listed I actively think of as Kickstarter games except Newton Football League because... And to their credit, they went on to have giant followings, and I think all of them spent some time in Steam Early Access, or in Elite Dangerous case, it was there and also like in that weird Xbox One Early Access period.
Mm-hmm.
Chivalry came through there. That's...
But then again,
this one... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that I've reordered the list in order of release date to see what's unreleased. Woo! There's a lot on the unreleased part of it.
Yeah.
Now we look at the other side,
and the canceled part as well. Like some of the ones that are straight up actually canceled.
There's also Divinity 2, Divinity Original Sin 2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's also a Kickstarter game, and that's actually I've played that before. And that's...
Remember, boys, the Ouya came from Kickstarter, the greatest Kickstarter success of all time. Fucking Cloudberry Kingdom came from Kickstarter. Oh, that's reason enough never to Kickstarter game ever again. Oh, that game fucking sucks! I played an hour of that abomination of a game. Fuck everything about that game. Fuck, it's so hard. I did an hour one for that game. I wanted to kill myself afterwards. Not hyperbolically. I thought, like, that game was actively killing myself while I played it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I think that was the first hour one I actively tapped out of, where I'm like, I can't keep playing this. My brain is rotting.
Yeah, I'm checking this out right now. It's like, a lot more games have been crowdfunded than I thought, but a whole lot of these were either ones I've never heard of or were abject failures.
Yeah, it's and like I guess like for the record, some like I'm not going to say I'm going to base a game's success off how much was like kind of raised for it, but like a lot of these games that were funded are in the like less than 100,000 Kickstarter range.
Yes,
they're not giant fuck off games.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll definitely say that. So yeah, if you put these in order of the amount raised, yeah, a lot of them are very modestly budgeted. Yeah. Let's see, let's look at the the bottom end.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's not the mark of a good game, is how much money went into it, but like...
Oh, no. Oh, okay, so, sorry, just looking at this list remind me of a game that I'm like, is it going to come out? Alright, so our old friend Richard Garriott, has been working on basically Ultima game that's not Ultima because somebody else claimed the Ultima brand, and so it's basically he's just creating Ultima, but not with the Ultima name. But it's not out yet, and I don't know if it ever will be. Or no, what? It was fully released? What? It was? I didn't even think it was released. Okay, so it actually was released this year, finally. I didn't think that was ever going to get released. Sorry, that's kind of an aside. I didn't think that game was going to get released. I thought that was surely going to be vaporware.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had 11...
I would argue the fact that someone who's a fan of what that game is going for missed the release of it is indicative of a larger problem, but...
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I was following it, but I didn't put money towards it. All right, I'll say this.
I stopped kickstarting games pretty abruptly and then gave money to Star Citizen and then went, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And have not done so since. But yeah, I always feel bad when we talk about this topic because I'm not opposed to the idea, but we're in this weird spot where, like, fucking Shenmue 3, a game that by a lot of measures should not be made, raised $7 million.
Hey, Dark Souls, the board game, raised almost $4 million.
Yeah, but I would argue that Dark Souls fans are... Yeah, that's kind of insane in its own way, too.
Sorry, that's a pretty high price for a board game.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for a board game, but I don't know. Like that's... I feel the chances of succeeding at a board game are a lot higher than succeeding at making a video game.
What? Really? Well,
oh, no. Making a finished board game is easier than making a finished video game.
All right, but think about this. Board games actually have a cost of supplies. They actually have to be manufactured. So they are a way bigger gamble.
I
don't
disagree with that, but I'd also
with
say
games,
like
you can just sell the game. You don't have stock to run out of.
Yes, but I'd also say that like it's the board games are there's not a lot of hidden stuff. It's not like paper doesn't evolve every 5 years the way video games do.
And you don't necessarily have to release, updates to your board game.
Yes.
It's not going to glitch out, or at least it shouldn't be glitching out. Like, my pieces shouldn't fall through the table. I haven't had that happen yet.
I would play a board game where that happened, though. That'd be fucking metal. God, it made a rip in the dimension!
This board game is actually glitched. That'd be pretty
awesome.
Why? It's changed my first name.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I'm not saying the idea, like, there's risk in any game design, don't get me wrong. I think it's more just to put it kind of a weird metaphorical way, the process of birthing a board game is a lot more linear and less convoluted and not as fraught with hazards as the path to a video game is.
Okay, I can definitely agree with that. Considering the similar scales of board game versus a similar scale of a video game, I could kind of see that. I mean, like I said, you aren't with a board game. You don't have to worry about the board glitching out. Like, all of a sudden, I have the board flat and it just folds upwards and it just folds itself in and all the pieces collapse. I'm not afraid of that happening.
As much as I would love to see a board game that released a 9 gig day one patch,
that'd be amazing.
It just doesn't happen. Like, it's the dude on some website being like, "Yo, there's a typo in the rules.
New download, 9 gigs.
Print this out and paste it over the existing rules. Thanks."
It would kind of make sense, though, to actually have that for a board game, to be able to release addendums to the rules. Some of them do on the website. Like, you'll go on there and there'll be, like, clarifications and addendums on rules.
Like, tabletop RPGs have revision numbers and stuff, even.
But not on the level of a video game. I'd say, I'd agree. Not on the same level as a video game.
I guess
I'm still surprised.
Ran us back in some, because we've been going on this for a while now. Like, we are in such a weird spot with crowdfunding. Like, there have been so many games that did real well in funding, and then they came out and just kind of that the fact that we're still getting games out there with this type of money put behind them is insane. The fact that anyone's putting money into Star Citizen anymore is insane.
And this is kind of the thing, like I said before, the interesting thing is people are doing this with no expectation of, making money off of it like a normal investor, and that's the most interesting thing.
That's the weirder part. Like, there's this, like, denial for Star Citizen of, like, the game's totally happening, and I'm like, it probably is, but, like, you've put a lot of money into this game. How do you know? I know what ship you're flying in right now, and dude.
Yeah.
That's an $1,000 ship.
Yeah.
Real money.
Yeah.
I'm not one to judge, because I have also bought some fake-ass digital assets, technically, but not an $1,000 digital asset.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of money. That's kind of unbelievable, to be honest.
Yeah, and there's sales. Don't get me wrong. Like, stop funding Star Citizen. Like, stop funding. Like, maybe stop crowdfunding video games, but also, like, don't, because it's a good thing. But, like,
we're in this weird space here. Like, it's just, I do and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to see I don't want to see another big collapse, like a 1970s collapse of the video game industry again because of all this kickstarting and collapsing. Or the failed kickstarting, or at least very disappointing returns from kickstarting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. I think the two things are separate. Like, you have traditional video game design, you have kickstarting. Like, I think it will hurt indie devs. I think the whole lack, like the early access greenlight thing, I think is going to be the next kind of weirdness we're going to have happen. Like, we got way too comfortable basically being people's alpha testers for a long ass time.
I think
that's weird.
Yeah, I think and this is the thing that is of concern to me when it comes to Kickstarter. That's actually of concern to me is if you look at a lot of the ones that got kickstarted well, like the Kickstarter for the highest amount of money, they are all almost entirely based on an existing fandom, an existing license. Even Star Citizen is playing off of existing fans of, like, Wing Commander.
Yeah, no, it's by the Wing Commander guy.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, all these, you look at all these games, they're all Shenmue, Bloodstained, Dark Souls, the board game, Torment, Tides, and Numeria, which is, that was Planescape Torment's spiritual successor. Probably Mighty Number 9. All of these, Yooka-Laylee, Wasteland, I'm just looking at all these at the top of the list, and they're literally just existing franchises, or either a new sequel to an existing franchise, or a reimagining, slash, like in the case of Richard Garriott, Ultima, but not actually Ultima, and Bloodstained, Castlevania, but not actually with the Castlevania name.
Yeah, they are actively kind of preying upon people's fondness for things.
Yeah, and that's taking money, in essence. I mean, I guess not necessarily taking money away from, but definitely taking focus away from your smaller Kickstarter projects with your smaller studios that are trying to do something new or innovative or nice, instead of just playing the same old guitar.
Yeah, and I might go so far as to argue that, like, Kickstarter should be for the small stuff.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like when these huge devs go on there, like Yu Suzuki, goes on there for Shenmue, or Chris Roberts, all these well-known people, all these well-known studios and people in the games industries, and they go in there and they absorb all the attention, and which means, like I said, you're not going to see as much investment in these smaller games. Though there's quite a few of these smaller, independent games that actually have met their goals and have been released and have been enjoyed.
But at the same time, they get made to look bad because of some other things. Yeah, when the larger, and it has been mainly a lot of these larger games that I've talked about, these licensed or not licensed franchise games or versions of a franchise game, are the ones that have failed the most spectacularly. Yeah. Are the ones that have been, like Mighty Number 9, having the Mega Man people behind it. And, and I kind of suspect the same thing for Bloodstained, because it has the same creators of Mighty Number 9 behind it. And that, it's, I don't know where it's going now, but like I said, this is the issue about it that actually concerns me, is I think that future studios' chances can be wrecked if one of these big name ones fail drastically. Like if Star Citizen is just like, people are just like, yeah, we hate this, that's going to really kill Kickstarter funding for smarter games. And all these at the top of the list, all the ones that got the most funding, they're all major licenses. They're all major franchises. They're all sequels or remakes or remasterings instead of something actually new, which isn't at all surprising in a certain sense, but I think it is taking advantage of the platform and kind of, in a certain spiritual way, misusing it. Like, these are people that could probably get backers
anyways. That could probably get
Yep.
investors. Doesn't anyways. If they just went out and got investors, they have enough big a name they could have done that on their own. They just didn't want. I think the only reason they went to Kickstarter is they didn't want an investor to have any control over or any say over the final product.
Yeah. Well, and hey, if you can control all the money, you can control all the money. Like, there is some appeal there.
Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, and I definitely do understand that. But yeah, I have that. I feel like I have some valid concerns about the whole way this is going.
This is shaping up to be our longest podcast to date, so
Yep.
at the risk of cutting ourselves off, I want to move on to emails so
Yep.
we can actually put this thing to bed in a timely-ish manner at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I do want to, just the last topic, touch on this here.
Yeah.
I guess the moral story is don't kickstart games, maybe? Is that what we're going with here?
Use your common sense, but also don't kickstart games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to pleasantly announce that we are launching the Wicked Awesome Kickstarter. We haven't come up with an idea for a game yet, or an actual game itself, but please send us your money.
Just give us all
It may
your
or may
money.
not be a cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked Coin. Ooh, I like this.
Wicked
We've made
coin.
this joke before.
We're making it again. People like remakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kickstarter proves it.
Yep.
We're kickstarting
Yes!
our cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Relevant joke.
A broken clock is right twice a day, I suppose.
Yep.
But yeah, emails. If you want to contact us, Henry, how would you go about doing that?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
What's that email again, Alex?
For you non-Kickstart donators, it's wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. For those of you who are signed up for the first tier of our Kickstarter, you'll have a separate special email that you can send us stuff.
What's that email?
You have to pay for the Kickstarter tier 1 to get that.
Are you sure it's not wickedawesomecast@gmail.com?
It might.
I'm sure it's also
it might
that.
be.
Is it spelled as it sounds down in the show notes like it is every week?
Yes, Charlie.
All right. Let's do the one aimed at you, Alex, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, Alex has in the past been a bit of a Blizzard fanboy. How is he dealing with the ongoing Blizzard situation? As a Diablo fan, it's been interesting listening to Alex's ongoing feelings on the topic. Lyle, I think?
Oh.
Answer him, Alex.
I've been coping. There's a lot of drinking involved, mainly. I wake up and I wonder what I'm going to do with my life. It kind of changes from day to day. Sometimes I'll log in and play for a few minutes. Sometimes I'll just sit here and wonder why I chose to make the decisions I made in my life. And,
Like, in all seriousness, like, our many jokes aside, like, does this ongoing conversation make you less likely to play WoW?
I will say, I'm still playing WoW.
Of course you are.
But, like I mentioned before earlier in the podcast, I am exploring my options. I am definitely at an MMO crossroads right now.
You're a free agent of the MMO-ness.
I wouldn't say a free agent, but I'm like, yeah, I'm testing the waters. You know, I'm LeBron right now, and I'm hanging out with the Cavs. But you know what? Miami over here, the Miami Final Fantasy 14's called me, and
You're
I'm kinda
taking
just-
offers. Your agent is on call.
yeah, I'm on call, taking offers, listening around.
You're looking to
did
get
actually-
that ring.
I totally forgot to mention I did actually download Guild Wars 2 and try it for like 10 minutes, and then I was like, nope, this isn't for me, and I immediately uninstalled it.
Yeah,
So,
I've been there.
yeah.
All right,
But,
this is why I don't play that
yeah.
game.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Lyle. Next up, we got one from Sadie in Texas. Hey, Wicked Awesome Cast. There's suddenly a lot of media out there about Anthem. If I'm remembering right, this was a group favorite from E3 conversations. Any thoughts on what's been shown off?
I actually haven't checked out too much
There
of the stuff
are
for Anthem recently.
2 almost hour-long dev live streams, one of which shows off kind of what the combat for that game is and kind of the open world loopness of it, and one of it's dedicated almost exclusively to character customization.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I think they're doing a lot of things right with that game.
Mm.
Like, it's like, yes, it's being made by BioWare, which is owned by EA, and that kind of puts a weird situation in. But if we're moving towards a world where for like big games like this, you have to have some type of monetization, the fact that upfront they're designing cosmetics of that game to have fucking nothing to do with gameplay. It's just the look of your character and like the detail they're going into from right off the bat. It is like, man. So what you're saying is I could buy a helmet I want and not feel like a total ass, unlike some other games out there. Yes. I'm listening.
I'm totally okay with that. Like, I've got no problem with, microtransactions are the future anyway. It's going to happen. We're already in that kind of timeline.
Yes, we are.
It's going to continue to be. Yeah. So I can't even say it's the future because we are living in that.
The fact that I can look at a game that's not out yet and like be kind of okay with hypothetically how it moves forward with microtransactions, just based on like, as cool as the gameplay one is, it's a gameplay demo. Like, from a like understanding what goes into making a video game and a holy shit set of moments, the like customization live stream, it's an hour of them customizing a character and just like the stuff you could. It's like, and it's not a ton of customization, but the options under each one of those customizations, it's like, man, this is a thought out system. Like, it's the I shit you not, I think there's at least 100 different like textures you can put on stuff. And it's not like, it's like various metal finishes and fabrics and stuff where it's like, you could very well make a game now where like the updates are free, you sell new javelins every once in a while, and like fucking skin pattern packs and colors, kind of like they do in Warframe, and be very successful if this game is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I would even like, just to throw it as an idea out there, if the character customization is so thorough, make it so that you can install the game and launch it and create your character, but the servers don't go live to actually play until maybe like a few days later. Like, you can log in and actually spend time with the character creation process. I think that would be a smart move.
A lot of this is unlocked in the game.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It's part of like, they basically said there's two types of loot in this game. It's either cosmetic or it's gear, and gear is not stuff you can in theory buy. Like, that's going to be only for earn. It's what affects your gameplay stats. The stuff they're showing off is like the level of detail you can go into for like how paint shows up on your javelin, and like the wear levels you can put on stuff. And like, if you really want, all the hard armor can have a soft fabric texture on it that gives it like an ombre or like a plaid pattern for whatever fucking reason you want to do that to it. But like, it is an RPG's level of like character customization shit you can do for a game where you are essentially driving a tank. And that at base level, like, there are 4 characters in that game from a like customization standpoint. It's the Colossus, the Storm, the Hunter or Jaeger, whatever the base one's called, and the 4th one I'm blanking on the name of. It's like an assassin character, and they all at base level look the same. And based on like the small sliver of stuff they showed off in that in that video, holy fucking shit! You might never see another javelin that looks like yours ever.
Wow, that's cool.
It's really cool, and at the same time, you look at it and go, "Yeah, this is where you put microtransactions," and I'm totally okay with that. Like, sell me cool-ass helmets for my javelins. I want you to do that. I also want to unlock some cool-ass javelins, but, like, if you want to do some dumb Halloween bullshit, and I think it's cool enough, I will give you money for a cool-ass helmet.
Yeah.
Or, like, arm guards or something.
Yeah, I agree. If it's a game I like, I'll definitely drop money on microtransactions. Yeah. I do on Terra. Straight up.
Yeah. On top of that, the gameplay looks solid. Like, they showed off 2 characters I'm not going to play, but what they showed off, I'm like, this is good gameplay.
Yes.
Huh. I'll have to check those out then.
They are long.
That's fine. I got time today.
Yeah, they're both on the Anthem YouTube. Finally, I think they showed up on IGN first, which made me suspect them. Then they showed up on Anthem. I'm like, okay, cool. These are real. Good to know. That game is doing some weird stuff, given how apprehensive people are. They're doing these very useful info dumps where you're like, man, I'm drowning in what you just dropped, and I dig it. At least for me. Thank you, Sadie. Last but not least, we got one that comes from an anonymous. He asked for it to be anonymous, please. I appreciate your politeness. And this one's kind of aimed at Henry, actually. Your first listener mail, Henry.
Yay!
Hey.
Wicked awesome cast. I think someone mentioned that Henry was involved in wrestling a few episodes ago. Does he have any opinions on wrestling games?
Ooh.
Indeed, I do.
They all suck.
Well, I'll say this. All right, so the WWE games, they could be fun, but they definitely have some weird glitches.
They get worse every year.
And really, the biggest thing with pro wrestling games is that pro wrestling is not like a lot of other sports. So it ends up being a very difficult thing to try to actually have a game that feels like pro wrestling, because it's just so different from any other sport. You aren't keeping score. It's not like a traditional fighting game, but they kind of have to do it like that, where there's life meters and move meters and things like that. But yeah,
it's. I can imagine from a kind of a gameplay perspective, it's awkward because the real version of what wrestling is arguably faker than the video game version, because the performance,
yes,
not a competition necessarily.
Yeah, it's not a competition in the same way that football's a competition. Not in the same way, but yeah, it's a performance, and so. Wrestling games, hard to come by, but like as far as more recent ones, I played the Fire Pro Wrestling World not too long ago.
I was wondering if you'd played that. That thing's good.
Yeah, it's very good, and it came out not too long ago, really. I mean, I guess it's a year old now, but
it's been in early access for a while.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I have that game, and I and a friend on stream, we made some absolutely ridiculous wrestlers and referees with it, because that's what you do in the game. You make ridiculous things, and so we have some in the not in the Steam store, but in the workshop, Steam Workshop. So we have characters that we made in Steam Workshop. They are horrible, because that's the only thing you should do if you're given a character editor. You have to make horrors. You like horrors that should not exist in this realm.
The nightmare.
Yep. And so, yeah, one of them looks like a beak and then feet, and with no hands.
I would follow the shit out of that wrestler.
Oh yeah. And then we have we made a referee that has no. Hold on. The referee has hands but no arms, and moves super fast, and its body is a head. It doesn't have a head on. It's just the torso is like a face. And so yeah, we made horrible things, but you can find them on the Steam Workshop. They're amazing. And Fire Pro Wrestling World. Yep. I actually enjoyed this one more than I enjoy the WWE games. I actually found that I was able to do a proper wrestling match in Fire Pro Wrestling World more easily than I would in WWE 2K or WWE like 2K18 or whatever.
Yeah, I'd also interject that I think the modern televised version of wrestling, and I'm not talking about indie wrestling, which is real wrestling still happens.
Yeah.
Is arguably more about the pageantry in some ways at this point.
Oh, absolutely. If you
than
watch
actual wrestling.
Yeah.
So like a wrestling RPG would be more appropriate in some ways in the modern era.
Which they've made before. A lot of the Fire Pro Wrestling Worlds tend to be wrestling RPGs. This one is no exception. It doesn't have as much story, though, as the other ones. Well, I guess...
Yeah, I'm talking like more like a BioWare style like a BioWare RPG based around wrestling, where like you relegate the wrestling to QuickTime events, or not even events at all. It just kind of plays out.
Or
might be a more accurate wrestling game for the modern era.
Yeah, I mean, like the career mode in WWE 2K and in Fire Pro Wrestling World, it's not on the level of not quite on the level of what I would consider a proper RPG. So I think that's there's definitely a place for that there. But there aren't a whole lot of pro wrestling games around right now. Like, it's you don't have a whole. I mean, I just pulled up the wrestling tag on Steam, and there's like 8 games, and yeah, there's not a whole lot here, but yeah, I think. Well, it looks like one of these is an RPG, Slammed. It looks like a text-only RPG.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Not you have Wrestling Spirit here, which looks like a little more like that. Doesn't look like it's well rated though. But yeah, I have Fire Pro Wrestling World is really good. I definitely recommend that game. It's pretty solid, but definitely like. But it's definitely a little weird because it is sprite based. It's 2D sprite based, whereas WWE 2K18 and 2K19 are full 3D. So I mean that's. But yeah, you can go into the workshop and find our stuff. Let's see. The names are, if you want our referee, it is Lard Shoes. That's like Lard LARD Shoes. And it's Monster, and our wrestler that we created is Justice Quaximum. By the way, both of these are also made with help from chat. Thank you, chat. Justice Quaximum, who has a green hair, a beak, and feet, and no body, and it's amazing. So that's what we created because we're horrible. But yeah, all right. So that's my thoughts on wrestling games. It's hard to get a really really good one just because wrestling's so weird. I think that's why not a lot of companies actually make them.
I think you answered the question pretty thoroughly.
But thank you for writing in with that. For Anonymous, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for writing in. That does it for emails this week. Remember, wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. Send us emails. We enjoy getting them. But that does it for this extended, it seems, episode of the Wicked Awesome Cast. Anything you two want to talk about? We get the hell out of here?
No, I'm good.
I'm definitely good.
No more words are left to be said.
Yeah.
All right, then. You want to take us out this week, Henry?
Sure. Hit the music.
No.
Haha. Yeah. I've been watching a lot of different podcasts, so.
Cue the metal.